All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. Welcome back to the Blue and Red Football Podcast. We are back by extreme popular demand. Um,
Yes.
taking our nice hiatus away from the podcast scene. Obviously, life goes on, people grow, people change, but the one thing that doesn't change is the passion and love for footy. So now we're back.
Yes.
Back to talk about
Yes.
some crazy things. We've got to talk about the best players on each Prem team, the current standings, transfers, maybe even the summer. We've got a lot on the agenda from both our clubs. We've had high moments, low moments. We've got some teams that have turned their low moments into great moments this season. There's a lot to be discussed in February for the Prem. Not just the Prem, though, but just football in general. So,
Absolutely.
where do we kick off? How would you like to kick this off? We've got
I
so
mean,
much to discuss.
let's just talk about the season so far. We 27 games into the Premier League season. A disappointing season for both of our clubs. You could say slightly more for you. I would say probably, especially in terms of the league title defense. But disappointing for my club as well, especially today. As of this day, we just dropped points to Burnley at home. Come on, Chelsea! Um, but it's been I don't even know. How would you describe this season? Because it's been a weird one. It's no, there's not a. I mean, Arsenal, of course, are the clear favorites, but as they do, they're bottling it, and so it's been a weird season. What do you make so far of the season? Obviously, as a Liverpool fan, but then just as objectively as a football fan.
As a Liverpool fan, pain. That's about it.
Mm.
It's just pain. But as a fan of football, I will say entertaining. Entertaining, just in the sense of yes, Arsenal has had this huge gap of the Premier League title champions, soon to be. I know that might seem weird to say, but it's it's looking likely. However, it's not like a landslide. You know, Man City is breathing down their neck. Villa was breathing down their neck a little bit, and now some other teams are starting to add the pressure. The race between Chelsea, Man United, and Liverpool for kind of like that fourth, fifth position. Like pretty much just fourth through eighth is really tight right now. And I feel like it's been a minute since we've seen a title race that's been kind of tighter like this. So I'm gonna say entertaining from that because I really like you'll see like Liverpool go and beat Real Madrid and then next week they can lose to City, or like you'll go see City beat United and then they'll go lose to literally anybody. So
Barcelona 3-0,
yeah,
and we've lost to Leeds. So yeah.
it's just it's really entertaining. So I would say that as a fan of football, it's entertaining not knowing what's gonna happen next. Just getting to see even like newly promoted. So I don't think like we'll talk about this later, but like I don't think anyone expected Sunderland to be doing as great as they're doing, and we just gave them their first loss at home, and it took them
Really?
mid-season to get that. Like Sunderland, a newly promoted side, which is kudos to them. Like they're doing bits over there, but it all in all, no matter who you support, whether it's Arsenal, City, hell, it could even be Leeds. It's been very entertaining. Well, I guess if you're a Wolves fan, it hasn't really been entertaining, but who's really a Wolves fan?
Yeah. Even West Ham, Nottingham Forest. Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird season. I mean, Arsenal were clear favorites for a long time, but then they really started to choke, to be honest, over the last few weeks. Like, looking at the table now, Manchester City still have a game. They've played 26. Arsenal have played 27. Manchester City are only 5 points behind Arsenal. So if they win, they'll be only 2 points off first, level on matches. Arsenal have been in not great form. I mean, for a league title winning team, I mean, not bad. But losing to Manchester United, obviously, that was a big loss. They drew Brentford, drew Wolves. The Wolves lost pretty bad. Dropping points to Wolves, especially when you're first in the league, to the team that was literally their 10th point of the season, which is nuts. um, to get that on Arsenal, but think it was Rob Edwards. I've always thought he's a really good coach. Played for Wolves in his career as well. I hope they give him a chance in the championship. I think he'd do a good job when they get demoted inevitably. But it's been a weird one. Manchester United are actually good this season comparatively to being in relegation as they have been. They actually have an exciting team. Michael Carrick is doing a really good job. He's kind of, I would say, like becoming one with the chaos almost. Like, I think it kind of shows. I mean, Amorim honestly didn't do too bad. Like Manchester United are in this position because Amorim actually didn't have like a horrible start to the season. I think they were in sixth when they fired him, and now they're in fifth. And if they win tomorrow, they'll be in fourth, which at least win or draw. But like, yeah, biggest disappointment is easily you guys. And it's crazy. Never in a million years would I have expected it, because your team got so much stronger this summer, I think, just objectively looking at it, than it was last season. But you're in good form now. Looking at your last 5 games, I mean, obviously the quarterback, we drew them and you pummeled them. But like in the league specifically, I guess Bournemouth, you smoked Newcastle. That was a good game. You lose to City, and then you beat Sunderland, and then you have Nottingham Forest tomorrow, which should be a win. But obviously they just have a new coach, so we'll see if they have new manager bounce. Vitor Pereira. I don't know. That's
they
Pereira.
rehired him.
No, Wolves' former head coach Pereira to Nottingham Forest.
I thought you meant Wolves rehired him. I was like, whoa.
No. And actually, his first game, they won 3-0. So, against Fenerbahce. So, yeah, it's a weird time. It's a weird season. No clear favorite, which is, I think, good for the league. Like, I still firmly believe, and I don't think it'll change, like, the Premier League is the best league in the world. And I think by far. Like, top to bottom, the competition is absurd. Think about, like, the players that each club has. I mean, for Burnley to be in 19th, and think of the signings that they made this summer, like Kyle Walker. I mean, like the biggest one, but I mean, James Ward-Prowse obviously not great anymore. But like the quality of teams, highest in the world. It's so competitive. There's a reason why Chelsea can drop points to teams in the bottom 5 of the league so consistently. It's because it's so competitive. At least that's what I tell myself. I mean, there's no excuse. But yeah, it's been fun. Objectively, I agree. Like, to speak about Chelsea, obviously, you know, we're on our second coach of the season. Maresca, if you would have talked to me beginning of the year, I'm like, Maresca all the way. We're winning the Champions League after the Club World Cup win. And maybe I should have said that, because last time I claimed that Chelsea were going to win the Champions League, we did. And it was stupid of me to say that. It was 2020, after we signed Timo Werner and Hakim Ziyech and Kai Havertz. I'm like, we're winning the Champions League. And then I don't know why I said that, but we did. We ended up winning. Never how would have dreamt it, but we ended up winning. But yeah, it's weird. I really like Liam Rosenio. I think he's a really good head coach. I think the opinion is very split when he came in. I wouldn't even say split. I would say majority of Chelsea fans were upset. Obviously, there was a lot of tensions with Bluco, and there will be for a long time. But that was one of the more tense moments with our ownership, bringing him in. But I think since then, I mean, we've lost 2 games since he's come in, both to Arsenal. Both kind of interesting narratives in both matches. The first one, we were so injured and still put up a solid performance, like 3-2. I mean, not great, but like we still fought. And then the 1-0 loss to Arsenal in the second leg of the semifinal was, I mean, that's probably the most polarizing, split opinion match so far of Liam's tenure of Chelsea, because he approached it so defensive. He played a back 5, just like pure Mourinho ball style, just defended. And then in the 60th minute, we brought on Cole Palmer, and brought on some of our better players to try and get a result. And the thing is, we lost, and so you can look at it and be like, why did you do that? But if you would have won, you'd be like tactical genius. Like, and so, but that's just managing. He said that himself. And we've only drawn 2 games to Leeds and to Burnley, which I don't blame him at all. I put that entirely on player mistakes. We currently have 8 red cards in the league right now, which is insane. And it's one off of the Premier League record in a single season, which is absurd. That there's still 11 games left to play in the season. But otherwise, I think he's done an excellent job. I mean, from his first win, Charlton, but in the league, so he hasn't lost a game in the league so far. I believe how many wins? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 wins, 2 draws, which, undefeated in the league, 2 wins in the Champions League. And so I really like him, and I think that the players really like him. The losses that we've made, that we've had, or draws that we've had, purely down to player mistakes, and it just sucks because I think the players have cost us a lot of points this season. Just personal errors and red cards, and so yeah, I think that we will. I don't know if it's I don't know for sure, but last year obviously top 5 made the Champions League. I think we'll place top 5 this year. I was expecting I never expected a title push at the beginning of the season, but I was really hoping that we would be somewhere in the 2 or 3 range, kind of pushing for second, and that's just not how it's gone, not how it goes. And so, obviously, a very young team. We have a new coach, and so, yeah, we'll see. There's still a lot of football left. We play Arsenal next week. So that'll be a big game.
Chippy.
And then
last time out, it was pretty chippy.
I would say we're going into our toughest stretch of the season. And the games that we really should have gotten points in, we didn't. So we play Arsenal, then we play Villa, and then we play Newcastle, Everton, City, United, and then Brighton, Nottingham Forest. So hopefully 6 points from those. And then we play Liverpool, Tottenham, easy 3 points. And then Sunderland, final game of the season. So we're going into the toughest stretch of the season, and it really sucks to not get points in the games that we should be getting points in, especially going into this. So, and you never want to put faith in teams around you dropping points. You want to just get points and do well yourself. So, yeah, I'm hoping we got a good draw in the FA Cup. Hopefully we can make a good push there. I'm begging for a domestic cup win. It's been forever. 2017 was our last win, and we've lost 4 or 5 finals in that time, I want to say. So, yeah, I don't know. I would say I would give this season a 5 out of 10 for us, probably. It's been disappointing, but it's not been horrible. We've had some big wins. Maybe a 6 out of 10.
Really? I was going to say
maybe a 6. I'll give it a 6 out of 10, because the expectations were high. Coming into the season, especially seeing Joao Pedro in the Club World Cup, seeing Esteval Pedro link up in preseason, I was really expecting some special stuff, and that's just not what it's been. But it hasn't been horrible, so I'll give it a 6 out of 10. There's been some good stuff. Joao Pedro's been excellent. I would say him and Ekitike signings of the summer probably so far, at least big clubs. Granit Xhaka is probably the signing of the season. What he's done for Sunderland is just incredible. How he's helped them and punch way above their weight. I agree. Never in a million years would have thought Sunderland would kind of be where they are, 11th in the league. I want to say the last 3-4 seasons, all 3 promoted teams got relegated, and we could potentially see at least 2 promoted teams stay up this year in Leeds and Sunderland. So yeah. Yeah. It's been a weird one.
I might have a weird take. It depends on how weird anyone thinks it is. I might have a weird take. For signing of the season, I'm going to have to go with Igor Thiago.
He was signed 2 years ago.
Was he?
He was, yeah.
I feel like I've barely seen him play. Oh, yeah, he was. So 2024.
He got injured at the start of last season, and he didn't play. But he was the Tony replacement, but then he didn't play at all last season.
Dude,
I agree.
Nuts. 18 goals.
He is.
For Brentford.
Yeah.
in one season, and we're halfway through the season, is nuts. It's
Yeah.
nuts.
They signed him from Belgium. That sounds right? I
From
want to
Club
say.
Brugge.
Oh, yeah. And so yeah, he's been. If he was signed, I agree. But Granit Xhaka, I believe I heard recently that like the reason that he signed for Sunderland was so like because he wants to become a manager one day, and he wanted like the experience of a relegation battle, and it just hasn't been that at all. Instead, Sunderland have just been a really good team this year. And so, but that speaks. I think like that signing was nuts when they made like FIFA career mode stuff.
Yeah.
Like a guy who's been, I would say, easily one of the best like defensive. I guess he's not even really a defensive midfielder. Now he is, but like for his final season at Arsenal, the last 2 years he was at Leverkusen. He was more of like a box to box kind of box crashing midfielder. I would say not didn't play as deep as he did historically, but he's been playing deeper this year. Um, but I mean, yeah, incredible, like insane signing. He's like one of the best midfielders in Europe, and they got him, and so
Yeah, I
and
can't
he's
oppose to
proven
that.
that.
I can't oppose to that. I think we underestimate how important leadership is when it comes to not just teams, but just relegation teams in itself. And Granit Xhaka obviously having experience with Borussia Mönchengladbach and then Arsenal during the time where they were trying to get to that level where they could compete. Not that they weren't competing, but they weren't competing to the same level that they're competing now. And obviously, what he's learned so far from Xabi Alonso at Bayer Leverkusen, what he's won, bringing that into Sunderland, and then can't even argue like the other players that they brought in that also have European experience in those competitions. It has built like the way they've just gelled together is so quickly is so weird because it I shouldn't compare it to how Liverpool is, but like with Liverpool we got in a bunch of new guys, so obviously it's not everyone is familiar with the same structure, so now we got to get used to certain things. Sunderland they did the same thing just to like, and their main objective is to just stay afloat. And for a long time, it was them in that top six, and I was like, oh okay, like
Mm-hmm.
they'll fall now, they'll fall now. Then they went on the crazy run of not being beaten at home. Like the entire beginning of the first half of the season, they were unbeaten at home. That is for a newly promoted side. That is nuts. Backline of Renildo, Mukiele, um, Ballard, like they have just been holding it down. And it's like those are not like big names by any means, but just watching how fluidly they defend together, it's like they've been playing together for years. It's really hard to get past Sunderland. Like to those teams that have beat Sunderland, you can even look just the scores in itself tell the story. You look at it, it's not an easy game. Sunderland, I don't really have a game where they're getting like I'm sure with Burnley you can go find a game where they get wiped. I'm sure with Leeds you can go find a game where they get wiped. Sunderland is like, oh we lost, but we're fighting. Even when we beat them, it was we didn't score to like the 70th minute, and it was a battle. Like we shut them down offensively, okay, fair, but like without that defense, it easily could have been like 8-9-0. Like they were just holding it. They are superb in the air. Their anticipation is really good for a team that is newly promoted. But again, it's those players with that experience, and not just the experience, just the leadership that they have within so many European competition-based players, that just helps all those who may not have been in the situation before of what it means to be in the Prem so much. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they place in a Europa spot at the end of the season. I wouldn't be surprised at all, and I would genuinely think that they deserve it.
Yeah, I mean, like looking at all the signings that they've made. I mean, they signed a lot of players, like you said, like and the fact that they've gelled together. And there were some big signings in there, like Gertrude. Like you guys were trying to sign him in January. I mean, Mukiele, like not a huge name, but like played for. I mean, came from PSG, and like yeah, and like the signings that they made too, like that have gone under the radar, like Robin. I don't know how to say his last name. Their goalkeeper, been one of the best goalkeepers in the Prem this year.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sure a
their
lot of
goalkeeper
top
is
clubs.
top. He is
Yeah,
class.
and like yeah, guys like Kempsey and Talby, they signed Habib Diarra, who I know like Leeds and a lot of other clubs, and so they've made a lot of good signings. Enzo Lepe has been really good this year for him. Um, And yeah, they're a fun team. I think their fans deserve it. They've been through so much over the last decade, really, like since their demotion. I mean, I think they were in League One for a little bit, and I mean, Sunderland are a huge club. They have a big stadium, like big fan base. Like historically, a team that is competitive in the Premier League, and for them to go down was a shame, and for them to the levels that they did go down was a shame as well. And so, yeah, I would say they've been a surprise. But like, who are your biggest disappointments this year? Like outside of, I guess you already talked about Liverpool a little bit, but like biggest disappointments in other clubs.
I guess this might be like I have two answers, and one of them is like a deserved one, and then another one is kind of just like it's sad about the situation. So I'll start off easy. Tottenham. They got Thomas Frank this summer, and I was in my head. I was like, "Oh, they've got a manager now who knows what he's
Mm,
doing." I thought Thomas Frank was a manager who could take them to that next step that maybe Ainge couldn't, and he's done maybe even worse. He's done maybe even worse. And I understand that Tottenham
yeah.
has like a lot of injuries this season. They've been like the amount of people on their injury list this season. You could fill the entire 11, and most of them are important players. Kulishevsky has been out for quite some time. James Madison has been out for some time.
Mm,
Solanke's like in and out. Xavi Simons has also been in and out. Then you got it leaves you with Wilson Odobert, who's also recovering from injury and then gets injured again. You got Randall Colomwani, who's still trying to find his feet since World Cup. like, like I'll just be honest. Ever since that miss, Randall Colomwani just hasn't been the same. We saw a little bit
yeah.
at Juve of what he
Hmm.
could contribute, and then now it's just he seems more passive than he used to be. Like say like a Frankfurt that moved the form that got him to get even bought by PSG in the first place. Um, like they just are even defending wise. It's just like Romero, who last season I was saying that he should be in conversation for top five defender in the Premier League. This season is just so ill disciplined. It's just if it's not one game, it's the next game where I'm seeing he's get sent off. But the funny thing about it is he's one of their top scorers. Like he's not their top scorer, but he's one of their top scorers. So like the impact he makes offensively is cool, but it's like you're not really signing a center back to make an impact offensively. At the end of the day, you want him to be sound defensively, and this season he hasn't really been that sound defensively. The Jed Spence hype has kind of gone down a little bit. The penitentiary seems to have opened up to everyone, no matter who you are. You can just get past him. Udogi's another player who's been in and out of the team because of injuries. Like, and I understand that, like, no matter what manager you are, like, once an injury sets in, it's kind of hard to bounce back from it. But Tottenham being in 16th place 2 seasons in a row. Last season, I was willing to let it slide because it was like, all right, yeah, whatever. Like, everyone has bad form, I get it. But back to back seasons, you're in more near relegation than you are top eight, especially. And this is like we have to call this team. If we look back a few years ago, this is a team that was in the Champions League final. It's kind of hard to keep defending it. So they, for
Yeah.
me, are probably my biggest disappointment. Second answer, no, it's not Wolves. No, it's not Burnley. No, it's not West Ham. It's not Nottingham Forest. It's actually
Oh.
Crystal Palace. But there's a
Mm,
twist to it. It's not more of a disappointment on them. It's more of a disappointment of like how things have played out, especially after that massive FA Cup win. I thought that that was going to be
mm,
something huge for them. Like this was going to be the start of like the Crystal Palace dynasty, and then they lost Aberici Eze, of course. And I was like, okay. And they replaced the guys that they lost with good people, but then it kind of just strung out into something that just kept going into bad form, which is funny because I'm saying this as Crystal Palace has beaten us 3 times this season. 3 times. Well, yeah, 3 times in the final, in the draw, and in the league. They've beaten, and it's been massive wins every single time. It hasn't been like a stroke of luck. It's been something that has been like, oh, they convincingly just beat the Premier League champions. However, what is that?
just form recently.
Yep.
The
However, like them losing
been
Aberici as a
winning it.
hit very hard. I didn't think it was gonna hit that hard because I thought the replacements they got, to be fair, were good ones. I thought when they brought
Yeah,
in
Jeremy Pino
yeah, I thought
was
Yeremy
like,
Pino was gonna be enough. To be honest, like
Hmm.
that was a huge. Like I remember a few years ago, United,
Yeah.
Arsenal, big
Hmm.
teams wanted him, and so when Palace got it, and they
Yeah.
got him for like 30 mil, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, this is something good. Obviously, Mateta was still there. They have Ismail Assar,
Mhm.
uh, Kamada, who finally found his form. Kamada pairing with Wharton, I thought was going to do wonders. Munoz at right wing back was who had an excellent season last season. I thought he was just going to carry that in. I know he's been fighting some injuries as well. Tariq Mitchell, it seems like every year he just gets better and better. I know like a big thing for him was defense. Defense was never the problem for him. It was more just like his attacking and having the ball control and ability to get forward. And he seems to be improving at that. They even got players like Nathaniel Klein who still have an impact on the team, but then out of nowhere the form just kind of dropped with all like the Mark Gahey, like pretty much when all the Mark Gahey saga started, you could see like what we were looking at was kind of just dropping. Even Chris Richards, shout out the American boy. Chris Richards is very important to Crystal Palace, but they just haven't been the same since like all the saga started. And now they've just dropped and dropped. But January they did make some very good signings. I did think the signing of Brennan Johnson and Strand Larson, I thought those were really good. Strand Larson's
I
already
can't
off to the
believe that they spent 50 million on Strain Larson. Like, of
I,
course he started off good, but that is crazy.
I think honestly, I think he's worth it. Just and I'm only saying that just because of the way the market is nowadays. Like obviously,
Mhm.
me growing up, 50 million for a striker like Strand Larson is ludicrous. But in the
Yeah.
market now, where you could like to give a reference to our team, we could probably sell Chiesa right now for 40 million. Do I think he's a 40 million player right now? Absolutely not. But
Mhm.
we could just because of the way the market works. And if you are an important player, just you being an important player to the team, especially like he came from Wolves where they're not even scoring that much or winning that much. If I'm a Wolves director and I'm gonna put my season in even more jeopardy by selling one of my brightest players, I'm gonna prem tax you, of course. I'm gonna prem
Yeah.
tax you. So I would say it's good move player scouting wise from Crystal Palace and good move financial wise from Wolves. Um, but yeah, Crystal Palace just hasn't. I'm not seeing those same champions that I once saw, and it kind of just seems like Glasner has kind of just given up. Like every time I'm seeing a press conference, I'm
Yeah.
seeing him talk about how he feels betrayed by the board, he feels betrayed by the players because he thought he was building something, and now he talks about how he wants to leave. And I just don't feel like as a manager, those are the type of things you should be saying publicly. Um, not just like not that it just looks bad at you as a coach, but it looks bad on you just like in general because like I wouldn't want to hire somebody that when times get tough, they just throw in the towel, like they don't even want to see it through because it's like we can't pretend that like we don't know that these players have dreams of playing for bigger clubs. Like you can't expect the likes of Eberici Eze, Olise, Mateta
Yeah,
Sarr,
not
Steven
everybody is
Wanyama
Wilfred
to stay.
Zaha.
Yeah, you know, like
That would be. Yeah.
like it's one of those things where like it's just the inevitable, especially when the offer is too good to refuse. Like Bayern comes
Mhm.
in for Olise, you know Olise is not gonna say no. Arsenal comes in for Eze, you know Eze is not gonna say no. AC Milan comes in for Mateta, you know they're not gonna say no. These are teams that are week in week out in European competition, whereas Palace is trying to fight for it. And yeah, you could be part of that story that is fighting for it, or you could go make history at like because a lot of these players also grew up watching these teams. Like the amount of people who know about the Pirlo days for AC Milan, the Maldini days for AC Milan, or the Henri days, the Pires days for Arsenal. Like those are the kind of people. These are the kind of we're appealing to the kind of people who are watching these legends during these times. Nobody was. I'm not trying to be mean when I say this, but in all honesty, nobody was watching Palace, and it's not like a diss against Palace. It's just where we were at that time. Like I'm sure in a few years from now, we'll have some kids who are like, "Oh yeah, Crystal Palace went on this run, and that was great." But at that time, Crystal Palace was an afterthought. Nobody was mentioning Crystal Palace. Nobody was taking their time, unless you're a fan of Crystal Palace, you weren't really paying attention to what Crystal Palace had going on. Whereas these clubs have rich history within European competitions, within their league, domestic, all of it. They just the amount of legends that have come from each and every one of these clubs. It's one of those things that you want to be a part of. You want to be like, I want to be the next legend to come out of that club. So it's kind of ludicrous to just think that these players are going to stay, and it's kind of weird. I think as a manager to then bash those players when they try to pursue their dreams, to say that you feel betrayed and all this stuff, especially with how most of them have handled it. Especially like the Gahey one just didn't make sense to me because Gahey came out and like was very respectful about it, and when he thought it was his time, they went and pulled the plug on it because he went to the board and was like, "If you allow Gahey to leave, I'm leaving." Just for him to come back 6 months later and be like, "Oh, I'm leaving because I feel betrayed. Like the team is not the same enough. We're not strong enough." And then earlier today, he said, "I'm not strong enough to be able to handle this," which again, I feel like as a manager is very very weird because if you're saying that, the next hour I'm expecting to hear that you're fired. I'm not expecting to hear my manager say, "Oh, I'm not strong enough to deal with the current situation we've got going on," and then he's still employed for the next match week. Like that's why it just looks bad because it's like at that point, why are we employing somebody who doesn't even have confidence in their own ability as a coach and even as a person, or somebody who doesn't look at the situation and instead of going, all right, this is a chance to rebuild something better, or this is a chance to rebuild a chance to like get the youth involved so that I can have players that do want to do it for the cause of Crystal Palace rather than the cause of just playing footy. He's just like, nah, I give up, which is it's very weird. From maybe I'm overlooking it as an outside fan, but to me, it's just very weird for a manager to get up and just say that he doesn't have the capabilities and power to do that. And I know a lot of the reasoning behind there. People are gonna be like, well, it's true. He doesn't have the same financial structure as maybe like a Liverpool or a Chelsea, but you're taking the job. There's no way you don't know that. Like we can't use that as an excuse. We can't. It's like, and it's the same vice versa for the bigger clubs when they're saying we didn't get the players we wanted to. It's just like, all right, but like you have the money to get some of these talented, overpriced guys. Palace, it's the same thing. Like when you were doing it, you weren't complaining, but now that it's not working, now you want to complain. It seems weird to me. But that's just me. That's why I think they're underperforming. They're currently sitting at 13th, I believe so. I want to say
14th.
14th,
Yeah.
14th.
Mm-hmm.
But which realistically, if you ask anyone that's been watching the Prem for a very long time, that's not bad for Palace. You can ask Wilfred Zaha.
Mm.
Wilfred Zaha back in the day would have prayed for times like this, placing 14th. But but yeah, like especially, but I understand it too, especially coming off of the season that they came off of last season, coming off an FA Cup win like that. Those things are huge. You expect to use that as leverage to continue the success, and it hasn't been the same story for Crystal Palace. But like I said, even the signings that they're making now, back in the Wilfred Zaha time, you wouldn't get a player of the likes of Brendan Johnson. You wouldn't
Yeah,
get
they
either of
spent
those players.
80. They spent almost 90 million on Brendan Johnson and Jurgen Strand Larsen, which is crazy. Thinking of Crystal Palace spending that
Spending
much
that
money.
much, yep.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. Palace have been really disappointing. I think they've gotten themselves into this weird like situation where I think Glasner almost feels like he's like bigger than the club, like because of what he's done for them, like winning an FA Cup. I think it was already a surprise when they hired him because just he was a pretty well regarded manager, just like held highly in Germany. Like he took Frankfurt to multiple like deep runs in the Europa League. He won a Europa League with Frankfurt. Like he always was getting Frankfurt in the mix at top four, and he just was really like highly regarded, well thought of coach. And so it was kind of surprising for them to get him in the first place. And now they're in this weird position where I feel like he thinks he's bigger than the club almost, and like where he is in a position where he'd be like, I'm leaving if he goes, and for that to genuinely be big enough for Crystal Palace to pull out, that they can give themselves the best chance. And you almost wonder where they'd be right now if they didn't have Gahey at the beginning of the season. If Glasner left, like could it be worse? Or and they didn't start off the season bad. I agree. I've been disappointed in them. There's a couple teams I want to talk about that have done really well this season that we didn't mention, but I have a couple that I'm disappointed in. I think that I can just touch on Wolves. If you look at that team and the signings they made, they're getting relegated. At the beginning of the season, like I was sure of that. Even West Ham, like I didn't think they made good enough signings at all at the beginning of the season. So like neither of them are disappointments. I say Burnley aren't a disappointment because if you told me they were in relegation, like I wouldn't be surprised. But just like the nature of the signings that they made this summer, and for them to be in, they have 19 points at the moment. Like signing Kyle Walker, who is beyond washed now, unfortunately. I mean, he literally got out sprinted by Cole Palmer today, which is I mean, no disrespect to Cole Palmer, but Cole Palmer is just not known for his speed.
Yeah.
And Cole Palmer literally outsprinted. And I think Cole Palmer knew it was Kyle Walker, because if you watch the clip back, Cole Palmer took the shot really early. Obviously, he played with Walker at City, so he was expecting Walker to catch up to him, but he was always like a couple steps behind him. So he took the shot early, I think, expecting Walker to make, because that's what it is. Like Walker historically always, like, even if he's a couple steps behind you, he'll catch up, he'll make the tackle. Anyways, I'm still hung up on that game. I can't believe we drew. Anyways, so Burnley are like a slight disappointment. I wouldn't have been surprised if they did better. I think you said they weren't, not as surprising, but Nottingham Forest is a pretty big surprise to me. And I think I blame their owner, like firing Nuno.
Damn.
I think was a huge mistake with everything that he did for them last season. And I mean, they were in top 4 for a huge portion of last season, and they choked towards the end of the season. But still, they're in Europe. They're in the Europa League, and like that's huge for Nottingham Forest in this stage. I understand, they won back-to-back Champions Leagues in the '80s, and they used to be a much better club. But like for where they are now, like where Nuno got them, I thought that was nuts. And so it's a little disappointing where they are now. They're one of my bigger disappointments, especially, and the fact that they kept Gibbs White, they kept a lot of the core together from last season, and the fact that they still haven't been very good. Tottenham, I don't know. They almost got relegated last year, so it's not that surprising. They stayed exactly where they were. That's definitely not coming from a Chelsea fan. No, I agree. Objectively, Thomas Frank, I kind of thought that he was going to turn the tide. I really respected Thomas Frank. I was excited when we were linked with him in our managerial search a couple years ago when we hired Maresca. Thank the Lord we didn't hire Frank, I guess you'd say at this point. That was disappointing. The Arsenal Cup stuff is hilarious. Just the fact that they hired an Arsenal fan. I guess also, since he's been fired, like players have said that he talked about Arsenal just all the time, which is just hilarious. So Leeds have been a surprise. Let's see. Disappointing teams, obviously Liverpool. I can't believe it, honestly. Like, the signings that you made. And honestly, though, for all of the whining that Jurgen Klopp did, though, for you guys to finally spend money and for this to be the result, it feels good. Because Jurgen Klopp said, "Oh, we could never spend the money that Chelsea, that Manchester City spend," and then you do by millions and millions, hundreds of millions, and then look what happens.
Yep.
And so, but I mean, you've been hurt by injuries. Isaac obviously has been injured a lot of the season, and you've had some good signings in there. Like, Kirk has had a really good performance midweek. I want to say it was midweek or 2 weeks ago. He's been playing a lot better though. Like looking exactly like what you want from a player like Kirk is just bombing up and down, making good tackles. Verts is starting. I think Verts has never been bad. I will say, like as a rival fan, I think Verts has been good all season. It's just it's been a shame that it's taken him this long to like actually get involved in the goals and assists. But like Verts is the type of player that he will never be a flop. He's just too quality. He's too good. Like you can understand why players like Kai Havertz like didn't necessarily reach like the level that people thought he would. Like of course he won us the Champions League. He's been a good player for Arsenal, but like the people thought he was going to be like a superstar, like one of the best players in the Premier League, one of the best players in the world when we signed him. And like we were literally in a race against Real Madrid and Bayern Munich to sign him when we signed him. So I mean, everybody thought he was going to be incredible. And you understand why a player like that maybe doesn't quite reach those levels, but a player like Julian Wirtz, as intelligent as he is, as just quality as he is never going to be a flop. I still don't think Isak will be. If you can finish like that, and you have like that amount of finishes in your bag, you have that, like literally he's like mini Thierry Henry. Not in terms of size, of course, but like the finishes that he can do, like running the channels, like there's a lot of stuff that he does that is similar. And like, so I don't think he'll be a flop either. Akatika has been a really good signing. But still, for where you guys are in the league, probably most of the blame goes on Slot, and I would say deservedly so. And I think that I would, if I, as an objective football fan, I would be kind of interested to see Chabi Alonso in the summer because I think that you guys would do really well with him as your coach. You can touch on that more, but I think disappointments Newcastle also, but also you kind of
Yeah.
understand you lose your best player.
Yep.
They're in 10th right now. Um, Vista has been injured like almost all season, and I think he would change a lot if he was healthy. Just experienced Premier League operator, scored 20 goals in the league last season. But still, to be in 10th right now, to be, I mean, 9 points off fourth, not great. Um, yeah, they're in a weird kind of spot. I mean, they've struggled when they've qualified for the Champions League. They have struggled. Um, like in the league, they did, a couple years ago when they qualified, they struggled in the league as well. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they make a push. Eddie Howe is such a great coach. Um, I would be surprised if they made a push towards the end of the season. Maybe once they get eliminated from the Champions League. But yeah, I would say for disappointments, that's it. Nottingham Forest, Newcastle. I agree with you. Like yeah, West Ham also. Yeah, I think I said I'm not that surprised by them not being
Yeah.
great this year. Like they didn't really make any good signings. They have like a solid enough team there, but you need to make good signings to be competitive in the Premier League, and they didn't do that. Like Callum Wilson is not enough, unfortunately. And they tried in January, and we'll see where that goes for them.
I
They've
do
started
like
to
the
look a lot
signings
better
that they
recently.
made. I do like the January signings they made, too. And I hope that it works out for them.
Mm.
Because again, like I hate that I'm saying this about Callum Wilson, who's a Prem proven player, but he just
Mm-hmm.
wasn't doing the job. I think it's
Yeah.
Castellanos. I think I want to say that's his name.
Castellanos, Tati
Yes,
Castellanos, former New York City FC striker,
yes,
actually.
and
Mm-hmm.
he should. He's not Isak by any means, but he should definitely help get the fire going under West
Mm-hmm.
Ham. So I hope that works out for them. As for I've been holding my tongue for Liverpool because I have a I have so much I can say. Um, Coming into the season, I think transfer wise, this is one of the most exciting seasons I've ever experienced as a Liverpool fan. As you know, our model is always to go for more budget friendly people that match more our playing style, our model of the Georgian press. This year was kind of different. Obviously, when Slot took over, he was kind of just taking on Jurgen's men. So this was the real true test to see what Slot would bring in. And based on the players that he was bringing, the kind of player profiles that he was bringing in, I was truly convinced that we were switching to a back three. I heard we got Frimpong done really early, and a lot of people already know what Frimpong offers you. He offers you that entire flank attacking wise. Defensively, not the strongest, and I didn't really see him going in to be like Trent's replacement, which everyone was talking about. I knew he wasn't going to be Trent's replacement. No one we should have been targeting, or no one that we at least purchased was going to do what Trent did. Trent was a player. Trent was allowed to do what he was doing at Liverpool because he was his own player. Like there was nobody else in the market that we could find to replicate that, which was what made Trent so special. So I saw that and I was like, oh, okay, we're gonna go back to having high flying fullbacks slash wingbacks. So I'm assuming that we're gonna switch to a back four, considering that Kirk has defensively has shown strengths in his defense, but terms of marking concentration are still in question. His just his awareness defensively in the back four has been questioned. It's not just with Liverpool; it's just something that was in question at Bournemouth as well. Frimpong, same thing, doesn't really offer that strength, the power of defending. He's kind of more of like a shadow defender. He's there. He will press. He will put his body on the line, but in the sense of what you're defending like in the Bundesliga as a right wing back versus what you're defending like as a right back in the Prem, two completely different demanding jobs.
Yeah. And
Obviously,
I
we
would
got
say last
Wirtz.
season Frimpong played more as a right winger than right back too.
That
Last season at least.
that was the other thing.
Yeah.
I had a lot of
Mm.
conversations with people saying that Frimpong was going to be like Salah's like grow in replacement, and I didn't really see it that way. If you know our winger system, our wingers are actually inside forwards. If you watch a lot of our games, one thing that's extremely frustrating to watch nowadays is the fact that I feel like we're lacking a bit of individualism from our wingers. They're not really as creative as, say, like a Diomande from Leipzig. They're not really trying to take on their man. They're more just trying to cut inside. And I feel like people are starting to see right through us that oh, Salah's not really going to take us on like he used to back in the day, or Gakpo. Yeah, it's a reoccurring joke right now that Gakpo gets the ball and cuts inside, but it's as a fan, I'm saying like it's not even that much of an exaggeration. I love Cody Gakpo. I love what he's done for the club. I love Salah. I love what he's done for the club. But it's just the fact that once they're really strong at cutting inside, but once you read their strongest suit, which is cutting inside, it's very difficult to get them into the game. It's very difficult for them to work off of each other. It's very difficult for them to even find Ekatike, and it makes it a little difficult. Midfield, we didn't really revamp our midfield, and I didn't really feel like we needed to. However, I could argue and say that we have. If you've seen past videos, I've talked about time and time again how we don't need a six. Arne Slot likes both his midfielders to be technical but balanced, and I felt like Gravenberch and Curtis Jones and McAllister all fit that mold, which to this day I still stand by that. However, you can see the downside of it. There was a lot of upside to it when we started it, but now that we're getting figured out, there's a lot of downside you're starting to see to it now. Um, those midfielders don't really have the legs to be going back and forth defending. And if you look at a lot of the goals we've conceded this season, it's either been one of our sixes not recovering in time or one of our eights being out of place because they've just been all the way in the box. And now they got to sprint back. And so positionally from the midfield, I wouldn't say it's the players necessarily themselves, but more just their positional awareness that has caused us to be so lackluster within the midfield. Like a lot of the games we've lost, and this is just my personal opinion. Most football matches are won within the midfield. If you lose the battle in midfield, you are more than likely to lose the game as in total. And most of the time, we're losing the game in midfield, which ends up us losing games, such as the City game. We lost that game both times. We lost it because that's probably the worst performance I've ever seen from our midfielders. Um, this season. And again, it's not me bashing the players. It's just me being real. Like Gravenberch just looked really off of it. McAllister was kind of just non-existent. Kind of forgot he was playing for about like 50 minutes. Verts, who I expect his touches to be, we brought him in because of that magical touch, that trickery, that kind of style of play. It was kind of getting figured out. All of his touches were just going farther ahead of him. Gakpo wasn't really taken on as man, but that's kind of been a long story of this season. Granted, he is getting a lot of goals this season, and I know the stats won't really suggest this, which is why, as a data analyst myself, I kind of get annoyed by some of the data because sometimes the data doesn't always tell the true story. He has lots of goals and a lot of assists for us currently, but those are in the box and kind of from loose balls and all that stuff. But from open play, like say like what you would expect from a winger, drive down his opponent, cross the ball in, or create some creativity to then put his striker through. We're not really seeing that much from Gakpo. Salah, we're seeing it a little bit on and off, but during that slump that he had where there was just no goals or assists, it just wasn't working. It just kind of seemed like he was figured out, and like the most average of fullbacks were just catching on. And this is not to like diss on any of those fullbacks, but like when we're talking about Salah, let's be honest. If you're not one of those top five fullbacks that we hear time in and time out, like even Nico Williams played against him recently, and he looked fine. Like Salah used to be a player who used to strike fear into people, and I'm sure he still does, but we haven't seen that same Salah that we talk so highly and regarded. He's still in there. I know Carragher thinks that he's washed, his legs are gone. I don't believe that one bit. I just think that it's just something that happens where everyone has an off season, and I think this is just an off season for Salah, and I'm sure he himself will tell
Especially,
you that.
yeah, considering the season they came off of last season too.
Yeah,
Like statistically, probably. I mean, statistically, his best Liverpool season. Of course, his first season was nuts, but like both goals and assists,
yeah.
absurd. Like he nearly. Thierry Henry had the 2020 season. I think Salah was 2 assists off of that, and almost scored 30 goals, which is just absurd last season.
No, I have to
But
get my
yeah,
charger.
oh. uh, yeah. I don't know if you have
No.
much more to discuss, at least table wise. There was a couple more clubs I just wanted to give respects to. I don't know if you had much more to talk about with Liverpool.
Uh,
Um,
for the
but
sake of time, I can cut it down just because truly I could be here for weeks talking about Liverpool.
yeah,
Um,
mm,
I think it's kind of hard. I will sum it all down to this. Of all the problems I've listed, I think the biggest problem that we've had this season is defending. Like Slot has a quote this season where we find Konate at the center of the crime scene a lot this season, and I couldn't be any more right. Um, our our defense has just been woeful. I mean, our right back injury crisis has just been nuts. Frimpong gets injured after every 4 games. He'll come alive. He'll be good for 4 games, then get hurt. Connor Bradley, who was already dealing with injury problems pre Trent, is getting injured again, and he's out for the season. Wataru Endo, which, look, again, not hating on Endo. I love Endo. I really love Endo, and I wish he would play more, but not at right back. Just not at right back. And when that's your third choice at right back, that's a problem. He's out now. I think I don't really know what happened to his ankle. I still got to wait for the report, but it didn't look good. It looked nasty. Um, and Joe Gomez, who's been injury prone since I've been a teenager. I am now a full grown adult, and he's still injury prone. Love Joe Gomez, but realistically, it's just the Joe Gomez way. He was supposed to be brilliant. And I still think that he is brilliant. Just I know those injuries have slowed him down. Like this is not me getting on here to like bash players. You're injury prone. Da, da, da. It's just one of those things that it happens in footy. Injuries happen, and it sucks, and it can sometimes hinder the growth or the success of a team. And I feel like that's been a very bad problem for Liverpool. Even Van Dijk, I'll be the first one to say it. Van Dijk is still Van Dijk, but he's not the same Van Dijk from 1819. He's not the same Van Dijk that we were calling the best center back in the world. Like these players do slow down. They are human. It's fair to say that. Like it's not just because you say that you're not bashing the player. Like we all have eyes. We can see that Van Dijk's pace is not the same as it used to be. Van Dijk's awareness isn't the same as it used to be. I think he's made more mistakes this season than I've ever seen him make in the last like 6 years. And that's one of those things where it's not like, oh, Van Dijk, you're so ass now. It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, Father Time is starting to catch up, and that's fine because it's not like I'm saying that and like we should bench Van Dijk. I'm just saying that as like we need to be aware that like this is happening. Our most reliable center back is starting to make some costly errors, and I feel like he hasn't really gotten as much stick as Konate because yes, Konate has been at the center of the crime scene a lot of the times, but that's his defensive partner, and there's a lot of things that Van Dijk gets away with because he does his aura defending, which I can finally say now pisses me off. Sometimes I wish Van Dijk would just aggressively step like how he used to, but he will aura defend, and like again, a lot of teams have been playing Van Dijk for a long time, so they know when they see him backing off, they're like, oh okay, so I can just whack a shot. A perfect example of this is our first game where against Bournemouth, Semenyo was still on Bournemouth. Semenyo scored a double, tied the game, and the game how it tied is it was Van Dijk v Semenyo. Semenyo had at least 40 yards to just carry it, nobody pressing. It was our entire back four was back there. He was just running in a straight line. Van Dijk's just or defending. Semenyo says, "Why not have a whack at it?" And if you know anything about Semenyo, we all know what he's got. He's got a foot in that locker. Smacks it, deflects off Van Dijk in, and it's been a lot of stuff like that. Even and set pieces as well. We have been struggling set piece wise. We were the most dominant, if not I think second best dominant team set piece wise last
Unless it's
season.
a Shabazz free kick.
Yeah, unless it's a Sabazlai free kick, it's not going in. And we conceded a lot of. We conceded a lot more than we should be conceding this season from set pieces. And considering we have a 6'4", 6'5", Leone, who is another player we can add to that injury list. We've been struggling with
Mm.
injuries. Isak, of course. It's there's a lot of things that come into it, but it's also just like Liverpool shouldn't be in such a scenario like this. Obviously, we're still trying to find where Verts fits in as well. We've tried him at 9, we've tried him at 10, we've tried him at left wing, and I think certain games require certain different methods where he should be played in those positions. I don't really think, as weird as this sounds, if we're going to stick to the 4-2-3-1, I don't think there's a specific position where Verts can just stay locked in. And it's even the same for Zabuzalai. Zabuzalai has to do some cover at 6, at right back, at 10, at winger. Like, we don't really have. It's February, and I still don't really know what our strongest lineup looks like because every time I think we have our strongest lineup, someone goes down with an injury or someone goes out of form, aka McAllister. Really hoping he finds his form again, but he's just kind of just been a shadow of his former self recently this season. Curtis Jones is like one of the high notes. I will start with that. Curtis Jones has been a very high note this season. You all know how highly I rate Curtis Jones. I've rated him highly on so many of these videos, and he's continued that. Like if he starts, now it's not a thing where I'm like, oh, why is Curtis Jones starting? It's a thing of like, yeah, he deserves it. He should be starting. Szoboszlai, same thing. Without Szoboszlai, I believe we'd be right there with Tottenham. We'd be hand in hand. Um, our strikers, a lot of people are saying that Isak was a waste of money. Ekitike was a waste of money. This might be a controversial take. I think both of them are necessary. Ekitike brings a lot of. There's a lot of similarities in their game, but I think Ekitike brings a lot of dynamic. How do I want to say this? He brings a lot of dynamic mobility that Isak doesn't, and Isak brings a lot of clinical finishing that Ekitike might not. When it comes to the dribbling, gliding, and all that, Ekitike is the guy. When it comes to finishing,
Yeah.
if Ekitike is having his day, he can finish. If he's not, he can't. Where Isak is, his
Ekitike
mobility is
is
a little different, but his
second.
finishing, he's second.
His second goal against Newcastle was just like the little outside the foot,
Yep.
like completely took the goalkeeper. Yeah. Anyways,
And that's
I
the kind
really
of
love
stuff where I'm on his day. Ekitike is
that.
just brilliant. But then there are certain games where, for me personally, you could call me too nitpicky, and I'll take that. That's okay. I'm currently a fan of a big club, and I feel like it's kind of hard to not be a fan of a big club and not be nitpicky because you expect nothing but the best. I know a lot of people make fun of Real Madrid because that's how they do it, but I honestly think like that's what keeps them being the best. Just how nitpicky they are on those little subtle things. Because if you're the best player, you're gonna have to be expected to be treated like someone who's the best player. Versus City, he was off it. His finishing was off it. The movements were great. He found himself in great positions, but his awareness to find open players or to hit the open shots, I think Salah had him open on a wide open Travella cross instead of bringing it down and just like finishing it. He just heads it over the bar, and he was by himself. And those are the kind of chances that we're used to. We've already had Nunez, and I don't hate Nunez by any means. I love Nunez. I wish Nunez worked out, but those are the kind of chances where, as a Liverpool team, we can't afford to be missing those. Like we have to bury those kind of chances, and I feel like have someone like Isak's caliber, those are chances where I'm not even gonna have to worry about it going in. It's like the minute it goes to him, I'm like, yeah, that's it. So I feel like it brings a good different, especially like Ekatike is better at receiving the ball deeper than Isak, in my opinion. Um, there's a lot of different strengths that both those players bring that I feel like is absolutely necessary for what Liverpool needs. It kind of reminds me of like Firmino when he was our false nine. He was really good at being able to hold up play, receive the ball in deeper positions to let Mane and Salah fly. I feel that a lot with Ekatike, whereas I feel more Isak is more of like how we used to use Nunez pre-slot, where it was kind of just like get into these dangerous positions. We need someone to just be a bagsman and just curl it into the back of the net or just head it one time. And I feel like they will play off each other very well. Eventually, I see us switching to like a two striker formation, which is again, I thought we were gonna switch to a 5-3-2, kind of similar to what Inter has going on, um, but it never happened. Arne Slot seems very adamant on sticking to this 4-2-3-1, and I'm to wrap it all up. A lot of people are Arne Slot out because of the disappointing season we've had, which I don't blame them. However, I'm not willing to give up on somebody who in his first season gave us a Premier League title and took us pretty far in a lot of the competitions we went through and got the best out of Salah in obviously Salah has been Salah, but like if we look at those numbers, that was a excellent season for Salah first time. So even Cody Gakpo went nuts. I think he had 20 plus goal contributions, which with losing Diaz made me feel a little more comfortable losing Diaz because I was like, okay, he just had the season of his life for Liverpool. Like this is pretty good. Um, and I kind of think that this is just a slump. I think that form is just temporary. Class is always permanent. And these are world class players. Like I'm not just saying that. It's just a thing of like they have accolades to prove it. They won the Premier League their first season with a new coach. Like these are world class players, and I have the confidence in them to pick it back up. Of course, numbers don't lie, stats don't lie. We're still pretty good in possession. We're still pretty good in open play XG. We are pretty good at chances created within it. Like all those things are still there. It's more just about putting the ball in the back of the net and making sure that we're sound defensively. Because the only thing that has dropped drastically compared to last season, to this season numbers wise is the amount of goals we allow off set pieces, the amount of counters transitions we allow, and pretty much just shots on goal we're allowing. A lot of like you'll rarely see clips from us getting tiki taka'd around and then ball in the back of the net. A lot of the goals we concede is just counter because we either have one person who's out of position, or we have somebody who's just two steps too late, or we have somebody who's passively defending, and those are the kind of things that I feel like a new signing won't really fix. It's more just a mental thing. If you got it or you don't. And a lot of the players that currently play that, especially the Liverpool we're used to seeing balls to the wall, press from Genie, Henderson, Fabinho. It didn't matter. It was just clatter, clatter, clatter. Now it's more like passive. Gravenberch is not really somebody who gets stuck in the tackles. McAllister getting up there, and he used to be somebody who we could rely on, but defensively now it's kind of just like iffy. He misses a lot of his tackles. Curtis Jones hasn't really been the most reliable defensively, but you can always expect him to step and press just because he grew up around that Jurgen Klopp model. Verts, don't really know a lot about him defensively, but then again, he's my 10, so don't I we didn't sign Florian Wirtz for defense, but obviously everybody on the
Mm.
pitch, whether you're a striker or a goalkeeper, you're gonna defend. Like everybody on the pitch has to defend, and if you're not defending as a unit, that's the quickest way to just concede a lot of goals, and that's why I feel like we're at the position we're at right now. Just offensively, it seems like we're there as a unit. It's just about putting the ball in the back of the net, so I'm not worried about that. Defensively, which in recent results we have shown to get better. Konate, who has been at the center of a lot of shtick, has gotten a lot better. He's been a lot more solid, so that's fine. Van Dyke, same thing. Still makes a little mistake here and there, but again, it's football. Mistakes are going to happen. They're human. Kirkez, like you said earlier, has been finding his form, and I think that we were really harsh on him towards the beginning of the season when he was playing a lot, considering that he was kind of not playing something that we were used to. He was kind of playing a little deeper than what he's used to playing at like Bournemouth, which I kind of expected. And the whole like inverting, outverting wingback stuff, we had him invert a lot of the times, and Cody Gakpo wouldn't hit him on those runs. It kind of makes it hard to stand out, but now that he's getting his groove, I find I like it. I like it. Frimpong, same thing. When he comes back, when he's healthy, he showed how crucial he could be. During that time Salah was at AFCON, Frimpong was carrying that right hand side, and if it wasn't an assist, it was a big chance that should have been finished. Like I have nothing bad to say about Frimpong. I have nothing bad to say about any of the Liverpool players or the coach, to be completely honest. But I can't lie and say that it's not disappointing, but I also know that eventually they'll pick it up, and we have the players. It's just sad the money that we spent, and like the recruiting plan. It didn't seem like our recruiting plan was all that well thought out, which has put us in the situation we are in now. The one thing I wish Arne Slot did a little different is involve the youth. I guess like we have some ballers in Rio and Gamoa, Trey Nyani, Calvin Ramsey, who during these injury crises I feel like should be given chances, but they're just not given chances. And when they are given chances, they get 30 seconds to show what they're made of, which is just a little frustrating. Considering that I know if this was Jurgen, they would get the chances. I know Basetic is still hurt, but we are really hoping and praying that he recovers because I really like the way that kid plays. We could really use him right now. It's like a little raw version of Gravenberch with a little more defensive solidity. Um, but yeah, all in all, like it's hard to say that with all these things going on, I'm not a little disappointed, especially given the amount of money we've spent and the fact that we are technically still Premier League champions up until May. It's just not the kind of way I expected us to defend our Premier League title. But it's not something I'm worried about because it could be worse. We could be where Tottenham is. At least we are still in sight of Champions League. We're still in sight of European competition. I want us to focus on Champions League, getting it right, because at least we're still in that. It's not like it's like the season is a complete loss. We're still in domestic trophy competition, so that's fine. It's more just the Premier League form that's worrying me. But again, we'll pick it up. These are world class players. I don't go on any of these rants to just bash Liverpool players. I see a lot of bashing on social media of these players, and I'm not gonna bash any. But like most of these players are the people that got us a Premier League title to begin with, so I'm not here to bash them. I know they're human. Form. It's kind of hard to expect a 10 out of 10 every day, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. But at the same time, for the level of these players and the amount of money we spent, we should be doing better. So Michael Edwards, Richard Hughes, Arne Slot. I back you guys. Please don't make me look foolish for saying this. I back you fully, fully, fully. Come on, Liverpool. That's to end my rant.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple last teams I wanted to give props to, just very briefly before we move on, that I feel like deserve some credit for how good they've been this season. Manchester United, I'm not going to give them any credit because with the money they spent, the players that they brought in, like, and realistically, just with the quality of team that they have, this is where they should be. So, like, I'm not going to, obviously, last season was rough for them. He was a bad coach. I'm just going to say it. No, I didn't. But, so I'm not going to, they've done well this season, and obviously there are kind of immediate competition. But the team that I think deserves so much credit, and I feel like I haven't heard a ton of people talking about it, is Brentford. They're in seventh. They sold Visa and Buemo, and like to be where they are now. Obviously, Igor Thiago has been incredible for them, but to be in seventh place, to have been in as good form for I expected maybe 15th this season. That felt like for them to kind of be. I didn't expect them to get relegated, but around the relegation area, just because losing. I mean, obviously, I didn't even mention it, but Thomas Frank, like he's just such a big character and did such a good job. And it was their head coach he was their manager for so long. And so for him to go, for them to lose Emblemo, for them to lose Visa, for them to lose, I feel like there might have been one or two more big exits over the summer.
The Norwegian CDM.
But Christian
Yeah.
Onelga.
Went to Arsenal.
Yeah, and that's a huge loss because he was their club captain. And so, yeah, for them to lose all of them and for them to be in seventh, for Keith Andrews, who has never coached a team before, to be doing as good as he's doing is incredible. So I just wanted to give them credit. Bournemouth are doing well this season as well, but Iriola, I think, is a great coach. I want to give credit to Everton as well. I think Everton have been pretty good this year. Like, obviously,
I
yeah.
will never give them credit.
They're in a similar spot to Brentford. They're around there. Actually, if they win tomorrow, they'll be in eighth. Um, and so Everton have been pretty good. David Moyes did really good towards the back end of last season after Dyche left. I thought kind of implemented an interesting kind of style of play. Jake O'Brien at right back is a weird one. Still plays there a lot, but
I hate it.
they've done well.
I hate
Yeah.
that. Because I'll be honest. I've watched a few Everton games just because, like, yes, I'm a Liverpool fan, but I'm a footy fan first before I'm a Liverpool fan. I
Mhm.
do enjoy watching soccer. I do enjoy watching different tactics, different managers, different opinions, all that kind of stuff. As I'm trying to grow within my knowledge of the game, as I'm trying to grow within my knowledge as just a data analyst or a football data analyst, I do like seeing how different teams shape compared to others. And every time I watch Jake O'Brien, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, how are we not using somebody at like at center back? It's the same with how I felt with Dan Burn. Like they just feel like they're more effective at center back, especially with those areas. We know how physically demanding the Premier League is, and on those wings at fullback, it's rare you're gonna be matched up with somebody who's slow. It's rare, very rare, and so most of the times I'm seeing them get beat are by those fast players, but the physicality that they prove, especially, or the physicality they provide, especially when those keepers kick those long balls, just trying to start counters, and they win the header just to disrupt the entire play. That's very nice to see, and I can see why they're playing there. But I just feel like they would be helping a lot more if they play center back. I know Dan Burn is someone who switches left back, center back. And the one game I did watch, Jake O'Brien did start at center back,
He got man
and
of
he
the
won man
match.
of the match. He won
Yeah.
man of the match. So
So yeah.
but all in all, I'll sit here and as much as I don't want to compliment Everton, Everton has been doing their thing. They have a lot of players where it's just incredible to watch. I love Tierno Berry. I think he's a very good player that they've got, especially with Beto. I don't really know what happened. I thought he was going to be good for them, and then he kind of just his form dropped off to a cliff. Started giving Barry more chances, and I know he found it kind of hard to find the back of the net, but once he found the back of the net, started just rolling in. Dwight McNeil, of course, He almost went to Crystal Palace, but that shut down, and I feel like that's a very important player for Everton this season. How could I forget Iliman Ndiaye? Iliman Ndiaye is just a baller. Like he's just, it's one of
Hey,
those
man.
things where like
Hey.
stats will never say as much as how great he is to watch. Like if you
Mhm.
ever watch an Everton game, the one thing you're going to be talking about is Iliman Ndiaye. Idrissa Gana
Mhm.
Gueye at his old age is still putting in a shift. He is just a maestro for Everton. He turns into every class midfielder you could think of into one, and it's just nutty. It is just nutty. And then the back line has kind of just been similar to what it's normally been. But Everton has never been a team that's been bad defensively. They've always been a team that
Mhm.
has been
Yeah.
solid defensively. It's hard to break them
Mhm.
down. They are very
Mhm.
balls to the wall, very compact.
Chelsea beat him 6-0 2 years ago.
That is true. That was shocking. But I will give
Yeah.
Everton that, and especially David Moyes. We already know what he did with his time there beforehand when he had the likes of Fellaini, Kevin Miralles, Romelu Lukaku, Naismith. Sorry, I just wanted to throw Naismith in there. He wasn't really that good. But, you know, he made mediocre players to the eye look very, very good. Stephen Pienaar, how could I forget? But you know, I think he's doing a good job there over at Everton, and I expect nothing less, to be honest, from David Moyes. He knows the facility, he knows the area, he knows exactly how he wants to play at Everton, he knows how to get the best out of the Evertonians. So, it doesn't really surprise me. I hope, as long as it's not the case of my club, I hope that he continues to find success there. I hope that Everton can build on what they've been getting. They've got a few good youth players there that are getting integrated into the squad now. Um, James Garner didn't come from their youth, but they still have James Garner who is starting to just find his
He's
own
really
footing with
good. He's
Everton.
been incredible this year.
He's been great. He's been extraordinary. So yeah, I mean, there are a lot of teams like the Everton, Brentford, um, Palace. As much as I said that they disappointed me this season, they still got some guys where I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, you're getting to get a big move soon. So like it's very fun watching like these smaller clubs compared to like the Arsenals and all that, and seeing like how they like. I'll say Brentford especially because we all know Brentford specializes in set pieces, especially with Keith Andrews being a set piece coach himself. Seeing the way
Iode.
that they strategize their entire
Long
offense to,
balls.
I know that not that I hate that guy, but I hate those long throws because those are the set pieces we concede from. But
Yeah.
just seeing like how they like in a world full of tiki taka possession like seeing how different coaches' minds think and they're like, okay, we're gonna say scratch the possession, we're gonna say scratch it, we're gonna go full counter, play for set pieces, and we're just gonna get our big guys in there and they're just gonna get a head onto it or get a foot onto it, be scrappy, like they're not embarrassed to play scrappy games against Arsenal and all of them, and it works for them and they find themselves sitting in very good company. It's just very as a fan, as an analyst, and as a spectator, it's just very interesting to see that like how these different coaches come in with different game plans or how these coaches come in with different styles to try and combat what we're so used to of the physicality and all that. It's very interesting. It's very interesting.
Mhm.
I'm very entertained as a Premier League fan this season. I'm very entertained with how everything has been going.
Yeah, with Everton, I just yeah. There's a week that they, if I'm not mistaken, they played Jake O'Brien at right back, Jared Branthwaite at left back, Keane and Tarkovsky at center back. They just play, but like just speaking, they obviously signed Tyreek George from Chelsea. I really like, but I think that's a good opportunity for him. He's supposed to go to Fulham, and then they decided to get Kevin instead. Um, but they just Kieran Dewsbury Hall has been so good. Jack Grealish getting injured is a shame because he was so good for them at the beginning of the season, and it's been good, and it's been fun just to see Jack Grealish playing confidently again. He was just so good at Villa. Um, but Kieran Dewsbury Hall, I'd say, is probably him and James Garner, and of course Iliman and Ndiaye have been probably like their most important players this season. Like Kieran Dewsbury Hall, I every time he got an opportunity at Chelsea, I thought he did well. Like he was so important to us winning the Conference League last year. But I thought he should have played more. He should have got more opportunities. For some reason, he didn't. But I thought Everton is like the perfect next step for him and where he's at. And I think big clubs want him again with how good he's been at Everton this year. And so, yeah, Everton have been really good. I've been surprised, but also they have a good infrastructure, like you said. Like when you look at the team, that is a team that should be like competitive in the Premier League. I think Pickford. I mean, he's England's number one. I think he's a really good goalkeeper. Branthwaite every year is like you moved to Manchester United pretty much. And obviously David Moyes. I think he's a great coach. I mean, won a trophy with West Ham, was there for a really long time, obviously, and was manager at Everton for 11 years prior to that. And so, yeah, it's they've been good. But I think we're ready to move on. I think that we talked about the Premier League table and segment. Best Prem player from each club. I'll just roll them off, and we can just make our choice for each club. So I think we start at the bottom of the table and we work our way up. What do you say?
I'm cool with that. All right. Let me get my notes and I'm ready. I'm ready for
So
this.
Wolves. The first club, Wolverhampton Wanderers. A tough one. There's a sensational option, I think, and then there's probably a realistic option as well, I would say, here. But I'm curious to hear who you think.
My answer.
I know who's
I'm being biased here, just because I've been following this player for a very long time. Been following him since his Flamengo days. João Gomez.
Okay,
He is
good.
a class CDM, and I cannot
Starts
wait.
for Brazil.
Yeah, he starts for Brazil in a team that
Yeah.
has loads of talent. He starts. So
Mhm.
it is a problem to get by him defensively. Interceptions, clearances, tackles. He is just always there. And it's funny because like aerially, he's not the strongest. He's only 5'9" at CDM, but it kind of reminds me
Mhm.
of like not to say he reminds me of Conte, but just in terms of his importance in that midfield, kind of reminds me of Conte. Like he's just everywhere. He's not the fastest by any means, but he's everywhere, covering so much ground. And I feel like without him, granted, Wolves is in 20th place with 10 points. It could be a lot worse
Mhm.
without Joao Gomez. And even Andre, who was going to be my second option, Andre and Joao Gomez
Okay.
have just been really good. But yeah, I mean that's really much all I have to say. Realistically, there's not
Mhm.
much more I can add just because it's Wolves. It's Wolves currently, but yeah. But I could also throw in Mateus Mane, who's been
There it is.
really
That's
solid.
what I thought you were gonna say.
He's been
I
really
think that kid
solid.
is special. Yeah.
Such a young kid, and he's put the team on his back. Whether they ask him to
Mhm.
play striker, winger, center, mid, 10, he's been doing it all.
Mhm.
I really
Yeah.
believe, I was just telling you this earlier, I believe in the next 5 years we will see him make a big move. Hopefully it's to Liverpool, but it might not be. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how that
Fits the
goes.
model. Bringing in literal children. Um, I yeah. I'd say my best player at Wolverhampton probably St. Johnstone.
Really?
No,
Really?
I completely agree. I think Gomez is. I mean, he starts for Brazil. That's the answer. The sensational answer is Mateus Mane. I don't think that's the case. I think he's so exciting though. He's such a talented young player. I'm really excited to see where he goes next. There haven't really been a lot of rumors, but it does feel like Chelsea and Liverpool could be two teams out going for him in the summer. You guys kind of have a need on the wings just for bringing an exciting player. You can play on the right, you can play on the left, you can play in the 10, which fits exactly what Chelsea are reportedly interested in the summer. We kind of are apparently wanting a player who can play in the middle, who can play wide, pass Mane, prime experience, 18 years old, one of the best players on a relegated team. And because he's getting relegated, probably a pretty cheap fee as well. You could imagine wouldn't be the most expensive. But I agree. It's Joao Gomez. If you start for Brazil and you play for Wolverhampton, it's him. Andre, I agree. He's probably number two. Okay, Burnley. This is an interesting one. Burnley is a weird one. But I think I have I think I have an answer.
I wrote two answers for this one.
Mhm.
I have
Yes.
Jaden Anthony and
Hmm.
Martin Dubrovka.
Okay.
Jaden Anthony has, I
I.
think he's their top goal scorer right now. So I was just like, all right. Jaden Anthony has
Mhm.
Premier League experience. Seen him a little bit at Bournemouth. Came in to Burnley and has been helping him out the most he can. But again, it's Burnley. It's Burnley.
Mhm.
And then Martin Dubrovka just because you know when we played Burnley, that man was hard to get past. He was hard to get
Mhm.
past. I will say that he was hard to get past.
Yeah.
But
I have three answers kind of. I think Dubravka is my number one. I just think he's a good Prem experienced goalkeeper. I think he's good. Um, I I No, I watched him today. Hannibal Mejri. He always wants to do something when he's on the ball, but I don't think he's necessarily their best player. I think it's just good to have a player like him that when he gets the ball is always trying something. Um, I like Hartman has been good. I thought he'd be better though. But I would say when he's healthy, I would say realistically the two players that I was between are Dubravka and Josh Cullen. I think Cullen is a good midfielder, but I think because I think he did his ACL, I'm pretty sure. Cullen did, which is a shame. I would say Dubravka. I think Dubravka is their best player
if
and has
Cullen wasn't
probably
injured,
helped
that
him.
was gonna be my original answer.
Mhm. West Ham. I think my answer is pretty easy. I guess I can if you just want to flip flop, I with each team. I would say Mateus Fernandez is their best player this season. I think he's been
Really?
really good. Yeah, I think he's starting to really come into his own. I think well, I don't know. It's Jared Bowen, but I think Mateus Fernandez is number two, and Malik Diouf probably has a claim in there as well because he's been really good. And Crescencio Somerville, he's starting to be pretty good too. But I think it's Jared Bowen. If you have like 3 4 years in a row of 20 plus goal contributions in the Premier League, I think it's Jared Bowen. Yeah, I know you're about to say something sensational here
I'm
though, but I'm just
biased. My answer was El Hadji Diouf. I'll be honest. My
yeah
answer
yeah. Mm,
was Diouf. Diouf
mm,
is again my first has nothing to do with, but it kind of does. My first getting into data analytics, my first project was on Jeremy Jacquet, and you know how that went. Second project of video
mm,
analysis ever was on El Hadji Diouf when he was at Sparta, and or not Sparta, Slavia, sorry, Slavia Prague, and
mm,
he was something else. He had 6 goals and 9 assists at left wing back, and like I was
mm,
like, oh, surely he must be weak defensively. He had so many. He reminds me a little bit of like a more defensively solid Alfonso Davies. He was just cooking. He was cooking, and I thought I was a little worried him coming into West Ham. I was like, okay, they're back four. Sometimes play back five, but I know that they want to
mm.
switch to a 4-2-3-1. Nuno wants to switch to a 4-2-3-1 or 4-2-3-1 sometimes. But he's been handling his own, and I believe he has 5 assists this season, 4 assists from left back,
Mm,
and the crosses he delivers are deadly. So
yeah.
I got to put him in there. Tejas Fernandez, I do have to agree. Um, I feel like for West Ham fans, losing Paqueta wouldn't really hurt that bad because they have Tejas Fernandez. Um, Wan-Bissaka can be thrown in there just because he's defensively solid. Jared Bowen, I want to throw him in there, but I've not heard his name as much as like we're used to hearing.
Mhm.
Somerville, I would throw him in there if it wasn't for the fact that like he just started picking up form like the
Yeah.
second half of
Mhm.
the season. I know that first half of the season he
Yeah.
was struggling with injuries. I
Mhm.
know he was just struggling in general just to find his place in the team and just fit in. But now it seems like he's found a more consistent set of game time. He's found a more consistent role, and it's starting to result in more goals, more assists, more action in the offense where we're actually seeing, oh, okay, this is what Somerville is capable of. But yeah,
Mhm.
I had to stick with El Hadji Diouf. I had
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, I get that. I would say for me it's between Fernandez and Bowen. And thinking objectively, United have been linked with Fernandez. And thinking about Fernandez and Kobe Mainu midfield for United is kind of saucy a little bit because Fernandez has been dropping in between the center backs a lot. He's been really digging into his playmaker bag recently, which is interesting because he was an 8 and a 10 a lot last season for Southampton, and he didn't like I would say he wasn't utilized to his best, and I think he's been playing really well for West Ham since he's started to play a little bit deeper, started to facilitate a little bit more. So it's between Fernandez and Bowen. I think Fernandez will get a 50 plus million move this summer to a big club, and Bowen, I think, might just objectively be their best player. Like he's just so important. He's their captain. But I agree. Diouf's probably three for me because he's been really good this season, and just what he can do from left back is really good. Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, this one was very easy. I
What?
won't lie.
Let's hear it.
Elliot Anderson. It just has to be. He's
Yeah,
amongst
yeah,
midfielders. He's
absolutely.
just ranked in. He's ranked with some crazy names that you would never expect a Nottingham Forest midfielder to be ranked in. But he's
Mm,
just such a solid midfielder. Whether it's the six, whether it's the eight, can sometimes even play the 10, but mainly as like that deeper midfielder. He is just so sound.
yeah, the,
It
the the passes,
yeah.
the ball progression. I agree. The fact that Newcastle sold him for 30 million is a shame. Because how good he's been. Probably going to get like 100 million move. I would say this summer to like City, unless Forest get relegated. Chelsea are linked as well, which would be interesting. Obviously, we have a very stacked midfield. It'd be interesting to see how that would work. But it is. He's so good. He's incredible.
Whatever team gets him is getting an all-around midfielding juggernaut. Truly, he
Yeah.
is just insane.
Similar to like Joao Gomez, like Elliot Anderson starts for England, and if you start for England, then you're good enough to get into almost any team in the world.
Yeah.
So he deserves that completely. Like if he's literally undroppable for Tuchel on England. Okay, Tottenham. This is another weird one because they're in such a weird position. But I'm gonna say Mickey Van de Ven. I think Van de Ven is so good. Like when healthy, honestly, objectively, it would be interesting to see him go to the club that you're wearing right now. I think he would be really interesting. It's the Dutch connection at Liverpool. He would have to be a Van Dijk heir, of course, because Van Dijk is a left center back, and it'd be so weird to see him play on the right. But he could, if he had to. And maybe the key to really like unlocking this like latter stage of Van Dijk's career is putting him against just an athletic freak like Van de Ven, just to kind of make up for it, especially if Konate leaves on a free this summer. But I think it's Van de Ven for me. If not Christian Romero, it's either of those two for me. But I think it's Van de Ven just because he's just such a special player.
Mine is a weird one, and it's definitely going to be
Okay.
debated. Xavi
Mm.
Simons. I just feel
Mm.
like it's been a minute since Tottenham has had a player of his kind of creativity, and obviously they still have Kudus, but like Kudus is in and out with injuries. I wanted to list Richarlison just because he's their top goal scorer, but again, I don't see, not that I don't see what people see in Richarlison, but I don't see enough for me to give him the best player
Yeah.
on the team. It's more just okay, he's the
No.
guy that can finish it. That's okay. But I, especially the way I kind of look at things, I tend to see like who can they not go through without scoring, or like more importantly, like who is a player that has to touch the ball for them to get an open chance or a goal or some kind of excitement going on. And Richarlison for me is not that kind of player. Unless you're talking about brawls, then yes, sure. Anytime a brawl needs to start, I'm 100% expecting Richarlison to entertain me with the brawl. But Richarlison Simmons kind of just, I know he struggled, and a lot of like tens, eights find it very hard to adjust to the Prem when they first arrive, especially when you're coming from the Bundesliga, which is very high paced, not really as physical, more technical. Um, but once you get that groove, it's very like we've seen a lot of Bundesliga players come into the Prem and just absolutely dominate once they find their rhythm. But we've also seen a lot of Bundesliga players come into the Prem and kind of fold. I thought
Mm-hmm.
that was going to be
Yeah.
Xavi Simons for a little bit, and then he kind of just picked up form, and now I'm starting to hear his name a lot when it comes to just the way they build up or when they're trying to have open play. Like he's heavily involved in the open play XG that Tottenham currently has this season, and should have more assists than he currently has. I know he currently has 4. It could be like 8, but that's just me. I won't take away what Mickey Van de Ven has done this season. I think he's been holding the fort down really well whenever Romero decides to feel like go on vacation and get a red card. Um, so, but then again, Tottenham has just always been like a very ill-disciplined team. So Yeah, but that's my
Yeah,
weird answer, my wonky answer.
that's interesting. He was twerking for Chelsea to sign him over the summer, and then we decided against it, and we decided to sign Garnacho. So for some
Uh,
reason,
yeah,
um,
yeah,
yeah, I so yeah, that's a good answer. I think quality wise, it's kind of similar to Verts. Like he's such a good player. Like
yes.
objectively, so good. Um, okay, Leeds United.
I have my answer locked.
I
You can go for this one.
yeah, I think Leeds is a weird one. I would say I think Tanaka is so good though. I
Oh,
think he just holds it down in the midfield for them. But I am gonna say former Chesley, and he might be the best player this season. Ethan Ampadu. I think he's been really good this year. He's not been playing center back as much. He's been playing in the midfield, and I want to give props to the former Chelsea guy because he deserved it. He's been really good this year.
yeah.
But who are you saying?
I think Ethan Padu has actually made a very big impact on Leeds this season, holding down the fort at six. He's very hard to get by, and the thing is, like he shows a lot of leadership in controlling the midfield. Whenever I watch him, um, both games for us were a draw against Leeds,
Hmm.
and every single time we
Lost in a draw for us.
yeah. But he was very calm, composed when it came to playing in this. And I know like Leeds again, like I was talking about before, Leeds is one of those teams where they may not play the same as Arsenal, where like they value possession and chances. Where more it's like we plan on suffocating the midfield as much as we can, playing as compact as we can with a back five, and then once we get the ball, we just straight counter. Ethan and Purdue is like the Lockhart of that as the lone six sometimes, in that 5-3-2, which helps. But I went for a weirder choice. Not really that weird. It's just more because of like the story behind it and the revival of his career. Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I saw him go to Leeds, and I
Yeah,
was like,
that was
yeah,
number two for me.
yeah.
Or three.
Him having 10 goals for a team of Leeds currently right now is very impressive, and they're not like wank goals. They're actually decent goals. They're decent goals. He finds himself in very poacher esque positions and finds a way to put it in the back of the net. So I gotta
But
give
that's just
credit
what
to
he
the former
does.
Evertonian. I gotta give credit.
Yeah. Yeah. Crystal Palace next. I'm between two guys, but I think one's the obvious answer. I'm just curious. Who are you
One of them
saying?
has left, so I have to change my answer here. Hmm.
Yeah, it was probably objectively gay before, I would imagine.
I'll say
Probably.
weirdly enough, I'll say Sar. I'll say Sar.
Really?
Yeah.
Above Adam Wharton and Munoz.
Yeah.
Those were my two. That's crazy.
Yeah. I'll
Because
be
Milo
honest.
Cesar,
Every time we play SAR, like those guys are Munoz and
I guess, yeah, Watford terrorized you guys
yes,
when he was on
SAR
at
has been
Watford.
terrorizing me since Watford. And at Palace, he still terrorizes me. He finds himself, I don't know. And the thing is, for how lanky he is, he finds himself in some crazy positions. And I'm like, no way he's shooting that. He shoots it, and it is precision. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, you know
Yeah,
what? Fair play.
yeah.
Like,
He scored four
he's one of
goals
those players
against
I
you guys
enjoy
to
watching. Yeah, he's
build
just
that
nuts.
success.
I love
I,
Adam Morton,
I,
though. I love Adam Morton. It
I
was
think
hard not to put him first.
I think that's kind of crazy, but I understand because he's terrorized you guys. I think Adam Morton is my number one. I think he's just such a special player. And I think Munoz is number two for me. I think Munoz has also been kind of revolutionary for them, honestly. Just how I'd say he's a he's top five right back in the Premier League for sure. You could argue top three, like when he's at his best, I think.
I could,
I
yeah,
think Reece
I could,
James is number one.
I could.
Reece James number one. I think I mean, who's after Reece James?
Sub was like,
I'd say, I guess, yeah. But like saying Shabazlai is the second
yeah,
best right back is like just saying like Mohamed Salah is the best left back because you
yep,
can just
yep.
play Mohamed Salah at left back and he because like Shabazlai is not a right back.
No,
But
I never want to see him play right back again. He's so important in midfield.
yeah, yeah, I understand, but also that's crazy to me. Um, okay, Fulham.
Easy one for me.
Um.
Easy one
Okay,
for
I'm
me.
curious. I'm curious who you say.
Harry Wilson, former Liverpool
Yeah.
man, has.
Mhm.
I don't even know how to explain it. I've never seen a player get faster. When he was at Liverpool, he was okay. He wasn't great,
Mhm.
but he was okay. Free kicks was like the main thing he was special at. Now I'll see him like running through on goal, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna get caught, and he just bursts with pace, and I'm like, whoa. And with 8 goals and
Mhm.
4 assists for Fulham right now, he's almost out of contract. I expect him to one either stay at Fulham or two get a big, not big. Let me relax with big move, but maybe like a higher seeding team. Maybe I could see
Yeah.
even Tottenham
Mhm.
going in for him if they actually get their stuff together and find themselves back in the top 8. But
Yeah.
yeah, Harry Wilson has just been playing out of his mind.
I completely agree. He's been incredible. He's in a contract year. I'm kind of intrigued to see like who signs him this summer. Um, but he's been really good. Last season it was Anthony Robinson, but he obviously
Oh
he's
yeah,
had injury struggles and just hasn't been great when he's played. Um, but yeah, he's been insane. I never would have thought at 28 years old that he would be having the impact in the season that he's having now. Brighton.
ooh,
Brighton is up next. I Oh man, Brighton is a tough one. I would say it's between us. I don't know. Let's hear. Let's. Who do you have? If you have somebody, I think I'll just work through it myself, and then you can go ahead if you unless you have somebody. I think
okay.
Lewis Dunk is so important to them that I wouldn't say that he's like their best player. He's their captain. I would say. I think objectively, like in terms of like which player could leave and would probably get the best move, it's probably Bart Verbruggen, their goalkeeper. I would say. Like I think Bart Verbruggen leaves and it gets like a giant move somewhere. But like I still don't know if he's necessarily their best
I
player.
I think their best player is Paul Van Heck. I'll be honest.
That was kind of number two for me. I think he's become such a
Like
solid.
he's very crucial for them for set pieces. Defensively,
Mhm.
you always find him back there making a last ditch block, tackle, clearance. Like he's just a really good partner for Lewis Dunk. I feel like he's just
Yeah.
amazing. Because I agree wholeheartedly with your statement. I feel like Lewis Dunk is extremely important to Brighton and how they play.
Mhm.
Like he has Brighton DNA in him. He's been there so long. He's their
Mhm.
captain, but I don't feel like he's their best player. And this season, I wanted to even throw in Welbeck just because this season Welbeck has been playing like he's back at United for some odd reason.
He just
But
has been for
but
some reason. Novak has just been good the last few seasons.
yeah, but Van Heck is just he's somebody that I'm wondering if maybe this is just like my own personal agenda because he's somebody that like let's say you know how badly I've always wanted a left-footed center back at Liverpool. Let's say like Van Dijk decides to leave us or decides that or left-footed a player who can play a left on the left side. Paul Van Heck plays on the right-hand side for Brighton right now, but he is capable of
Mm.
playing on the left-hand side. Um, and I feel like he would be a good replacement for Virgil van Dijk on that on that
Mhm.
on that left hand center back side. Um, but I'm hoping that's not why I'm mainly saying Paul Van Heck, but at the same time, it's also like he
No.
has the performances to prove that he is. It's between him and
Yeah.
Welbeck for me for sure. It's between him and Welbeck.
I think I agree. I think I overlooked him a little bit because he's really good. Van Heck, and he has been really good the last couple seasons. Like last season, I kind of thought he was going to get a big move in the summer. I think Parker Bergen though is really good. I really rate him. I think he'll get a big move somewhere this summer potentially.
James
But
Milner.
yeah, for me, yeah, I think it's between Van Heck and Verbruggen. Those are the two for me. Matoma is a question of he's so class. Like what he can do on the pitch is absurd. Like I think of his touch against Chelsea last year when we got beat in the FA Cup by them. But he's just not having as good of a season as he generally does. Um, so I won't say him. I think it's between Verbruggen and Van Heck. Um, Next up, Sunderland. I think this one's pretty easy. Granit Xhaka. He is one of the best midfielders in the world. One of the best midfielders in Europe. I don't think they are anywhere near where they are now without him, but I think their goalkeeper is probably number two for me. He's been really good. Robin Rofs, Reefs, Refs.
I'm going
I,
weird.
do,
I'm
I
going
don't
weird.
want to hear anyone other than Granit Xhaka. I
I'm
think
going
anyone
weird.
other.
I'm going weird. And I have the statistics to prove it. I am going weird. Daniel Ballard. That man needs to be playing at a Champions League side next season. I
He's
promise you.
already came from Arsenal's academy.
I think he's the only center back currently right now that is above Van Dijk in aerial duels one. I think he's the leading center back in tackles one this season. Set piece goals, I think he's number one in center backs in the Prem right now. In terms of what we're used to in that ball playing, whatever, that woke nonsense, he's not it. He is just a center back you throw there and you're like, win the ball. And he goes, yes, sir. And he will win it. You just say win the ball, he says how many times, and he will do it. He is extraordinary defensively. However, if not him, if it wasn't for numbers, Granit Xhaka, of course, or Robin Rofs for sure. Between
Mm.
it's between those three, but those three. If Daniel Ballard is not playing at like Dortmund next season, something's wrong
Mhm.
with the world. Something is wrong with the world.
All right, Newcastle for me, it's pretty easy. It's Bruno G. I think Bruno Guimaraes is so good. I
Nick
think he's incredible.
Bogle.
It's
No,
I don't like not to just. I think he's been okay.
no, he's been
But
fine. He's been fine, but
yeah,
compared to Bruno Guimaraes, nah,
yeah.
nah.
I think Bruno G is kind of crazy. He plays for
Newcastle's a
Newcastle.
completely different
Honestly,
team when they play without Bruno Guimaraes.
yeah,
Completely different team.
yeah. I think that one's pretty quick and easy. It's
Yeah.
Bruno G. Sandro Tonali probably I would say is up there as well. I think he's really good, really important. Everton is next up.
Eliminate Jai, and my
I
answer does not change.
okay. Everton's a weird one. I think there's a few players that are kind of around the same, but I'm gonna go out of importance and because of kind of similar logic as I've chosen other guys. Like if you start for a giant nation, then I think that you are pretty good. Obviously, England doesn't have the great options to choose from, but I think Jordan Pickford is just so
No!
important.
No!
I think he's
No!
a real. I think it's a shame that Jordan Pickford doesn't start for a bigger club. But also just speaks to his loyalty. I think he's a really good goalkeeper. But if it's not him, Eliman Ndiaye is really good. I think Jack Grealish deserves a shout for how good he's been this year, and Kieran Dewsbury Hall and James Gardner. Those are like the other guys that I think, but I still think that Jordan Pickford is just so important. I know it's not sexy, but he's England's number one. I think he's a good goalkeeper. He's been so important to them having that defensive record that is pretty good over the last few years. 9 clean sheets this season as well.
I can't accept that. I can't accept that. I
I
can't
okay,
accept
if
that.
not him, I think it's Jack Grealish. To also other to going to other logic is just Grealish is such a talented player. Like he
Fair.
just is objectively just so good. Like but I think Pickford kind of speaks. He's England's number one. He's so important to Everton. I think he is. He's my pick. Bournemouth
I have two for these.
is next up. Okay, let's hear it.
Junior Krupi, who's another player
Yeah.
I've been following along on my data analyst path, and Alex Jimenez. Junior Krupi just because I was watching him a little bit at Lorient. Can play the 9, can play the 10, can play out wide. He kind of reminds me a little bit of like a younger Firmino back in like his Hoffenheim days. Um, he can just move, like the way he can move with the ball is just nuts. The way he finds himself in positions to either lay it off to somebody else who can finish it or to finish it on his own is just nuts to me. And like we got to keep in mind, this is somebody who was playing in Ligue 2, the second division in
Mm.
France, came to the Prem Lorient, I believe, got promoted, but he was playing in the second division in France before his move
Yeah.
to Bournemouth. Moves to Bournemouth, a
Mm.
Premier League side, and is bagging goals, bagging dribbles. It's like he hasn't missed a beat. In fact, he might be even, well, maybe not better, but it's like he hasn't changed competition at all. He's still performing the exact same way. And Alex Jimenez
Mhm.
has just been putting in a shift as a right back. He has been putting in people in lockdown. That guy is rapid, rapid.
Did he score against you guys?
I want to
Or
say he did.
what am
I
I
want to say he
thinking?
did.
I can't remember. I can't I feel like he did something against you guys.
I think I remember the commentator saying it's his first goal for the. Yeah, it was against us. It was.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's he's good. He had the right hand by him, and the crazy thing is that game he didn't even play right back the entire game. He started off at right wing, and he
Mhm.
just had
Which is his
Gakpo
native.
and
At least
Kirkes
he's a
left
winger,
back popping.
naturally.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he had. I believe Kirkes was subbed off at halftime. I don't believe it was because of Alex Jimenez, but he had that entire right hand side to himself. Like Adam Smith didn't even have to
Yeah.
worry. He like Jimenez
Mhm.
had it all on his own. So yeah, those are my
Yeah.
two.
I don't want to be boring again because I think that Georgi Petrovic is such a good goalkeeper, but I just chose a goalkeeper, so I don't want to say that. And I feel like center back is also boring. I was gonna say Senesi because I think he's been really, really
No, that's
good
fair.
this
Like
year,
statistically, numbers wise,
especially
yeah, he's good.
yeah, and Senesi, especially stepping up because both the center backs left to PSG and Real Madrid respectively. And for him to step up and be as good as he's been, I was kind of hoping Chelsea would go for him in January because we were linked. But I think I agree with the Krupi shout. To be 19 years old and to do what he's done in the Premier League this season, in his first season in the Premier League, second season in top flight football because Lorient were in Liga 2 years ago. Um, but it's pretty ridiculous, and so I want to give him credit. I'm sure he'll get a big move this summer. Eventually, he's still pretty young, but um, but how about Rayan, their new signing from Brazil? Um,
He's gonna be
he's
nuts.
been good.
He's gonna
He
be
is. I don't know
nuts.
how they do it, but everyone they sign is just ridiculous. But yeah, I think Senesi or Petrovic are like the answers I want to say, but I'm gonna agree with Krupi because he's a fun young player who's been so good this season. Brentford
Go
are
ahead,
up
Mister.
next. End of debate. End of story. It's not. I mean, I thought you were
No,
like how
it's Igor
important he is
Tiago.
from a leadership. Yeah,
It's a
it is.
1,000% Igor Tiago. It can't be anybody else is the wrong answer. Like all these teams don't really have wrong answers, but a Brentford player who has 18 goals this season, if it's not him, it's
Yeah,
the wrong answer.
I agree wholeheartedly. Igor Tiago is having a ridiculous season. He's incredible.
Yeah.
Um, the fact that he is 24 as well is kind of crazy because he looks old as heck. Um, but yeah, I agree. There's no other choice. Brentford, that's one of the easier ones. Okay, now your mug, Liverpool. Who is your best player?
Zaboslai. It has to be Zaboslai. Right back, right mid,
Yeah.
Cam, CDM. He's done everything. He is our best right back. He's our best 10.
Mm.
He's our best right winger this season, and possibly our second best six.
Mm-hmm.
there's
Yeah.
nothing else for me to say. Like apart from the fact that without Zaboslai, I said it earlier. Without Zaboslai, we could be in 15th easily,
Yeah.
easily.
I think I agree, but also what makes it hard for me to say is Abuzai is he is the one who plays in the other positions that players like he doesn't have like an anchored spot in the Liverpool team. Like and that's what makes it harder. Although I think I agree. But I'm just gonna say Florian Wirtz. I just think he's so good. Like I understand the impact hasn't been, like incredible this season, but I just think Florian Wirtz is a generational talent, a generational player. He's starting to kind of figure it out in the Prem, and so I think I'm just gonna say Wirtz to mix it up a little
Six
bit
goals and
because
six
I just
assists in
think
all comps from Florian Wirtz. I'm gonna be honest. For the money you spent, that's not bad. It's not bad. We were
yeah,
getting on Nunez for far less. We were getting on Nunez for far
that's
less,
true.
and Nunez scored double
Okay,
digits.
Manchester United now I think is between two players. It's
There's two
let's
players.
hear. Who? Let's hear.
Mine is Bruno. It has been Bruno for the last like
Yeah.
6 years. Without Bruno, Man United is in like 18th.
Yeah,
I'll be
I
honest.
agree. I was gonna say I think Mbuma has also been
Oh yeah,
good,
he's helped. He's
but
helped a lot. He's helped a lot. Yes, I can agree.
not Bruno Fernandes. I mean, looking at his stats, he has 6 goals and 12 assists in
Yep.
23 matches. So it's Bruno, and it will be Bruno, and it has been Bruno. And yeah, that's an easier one. Now, my mug, Chelsea, is a weird one this season. Obviously, usually it would be Cole Palmer, but he's spent a lot of the season out injured. I wouldn't say he's at his best or most confident yet either. So this season, it's not Cole Palmer. I think objectively, it's Moises Caicedo. I still think he's the best six in the world. But I want to give Enzo Fernandez a lot of credit because he's been really good this year. And he has been so important. He's scored some huge goals. He's really stepped up. Um, and so I think it's Moises Caicedo this season. But he's made some big mistakes this year. But it still is Moises Caicedo, I think. And even if Cole Palmer is fully healthy, you could probably still make the argument that it's Moises Caicedo.
I'll say I did tell you early on. I can't remember if it was December or January. I did tell you that Enzo was the real deal.
Mhm.
I really like Enzo a lot. But
Yeah.
I also will give Joao Pedro his credit. 11 goals and 4 assists. Like that, I can't really top that much, especially for a new signing to have that kind of impact on results
Yeah.
so early on in just being here for what 6 months. I gotta give so, but for me, it's between Enzo and Joao Pedro, just because Enzo, like again, Enzo, you've got a generational player in Enzo, 6 and 8 and 10, who can literally just do
A right winger, a
everything.
left winger,
Yes,
apparently, over the
yes,
last
like
couple weeks.
just
Yeah.
there's no weakness in his game. Like it's just hard to like outweigh a player who has those kind of strengths where like their literal strength is the fact that they have no weaknesses. Like sure there are players who do certain things better than Enzo, but it's not like it's a weakness of Enzo. It's just like yeah, I can do it but not as strong as like say this person, but I can still do it. And like the fact of being a jack of all trades like that is so beneficial for especially for teams that are trying to compete like Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, City, United. It's so important to have players like that, and I feel like without Enzo, you guys could find yourself in a similar situation, kind of like Liverpool, where like maybe momentum or style of play or impact kind of changes, and I feel like he's very important to what you guys have going on, and I feel like he's very underrated, and a lot of that comes because of his price tag. Whereas a lot of these players that are similar to that will always be underrated because of their price tag. People see that you spend 100 million plus on players, and they expect them to be putting up messy calendar season numbers, which is just not realistic. Like you're not just paying for the output, but you're also paying for the potential. You're also paying for the improvement amongst their career because most of these players that are getting bought, we're not really going to see their peak till like 28, 29. And so the fact that he's still doing some of this stuff and Enzo's like what 26, 27, 25, like you still have a good 5 years before he really starts
Yeah.
slowing down. So it's a good
Mhm.
investment. You're like that long-term investment on a player like that is it's too good to pass up. It's way too good to pass up.
Yeah. I think I might change my answer.
Ooh.
I'm gonna say because it goes with the importance and the leadership. I think I'm gonna say Reece James. Like it's finally a season where he's been healthy. I think he is like unquestionably the best right back in the Premier. at this point, like when he's healthy. And I heard it recently. I think if you have a full team of 11 Reece Jameses, I think you win the Prem.
I
Like
wouldn't
he's so
disagree.
good at.
I would
You
not
wouldn't,
disagree with
or
that. Oh, I
yeah,
wouldn't at all. Not one bit.
yeah.
Reece James is another
I,
fullback who can literally score, cross,
mm,
finish, and actually defend. Especially during that time when like
yeah,
it was really prominent of like the Trent versus Wan-Bissaka versus Reece James,
mm,
who's the best. Even though I was a Liverpool fan, I was still saying Reece
mm,
James, and it was simply because
yeah,
it's kind of like the same argument I was doing with Enzo. Like, yes, maybe like those players specialize in the like they had their craft. Like Trent, everyone knows him for the long passes and the crosses. Wan-Bissaka, everybody knows him for the 1v1 defending and the slide tackles. Reece James was just all around. He could
it's
do a
everything.
Wan-Bissaka tackle. He could do a Trent pass.
Mm,
He could go on a Frimpong run, and he could finish like Cafu. Like
yeah.
there was no weakness. There's no weakness.
I think Reece James is my choice, and it's been a pleasure to watch him be healthy again. He's still not 100%. He still needs breaks in there, but to see him just playing consistently again, and just see how good he is and how important and how much better we are when he's on the pitch, it's there's no other right back in the world that can have the impact that he does. Maybe Trent like can on a game, but like Reece
I don't think
James can
so.
decide games. Like
I'll
we've
be
seen
honest.
it, like free kicks, crosses. Like think about his crosses to Kukurea to win against Manchester United last season. Think about his free kick against Bournemouth to make it 1-1 in the 90th minute and we win the game. Like think about his free kick against Benfica. We end up going on to win that game. Like it's he's so good. He's so complete. Free kicks, crosses, corners, finishes, defending. I think Reece James. He's just so good. Like an unbelievable player. And when he's healthy, I think he's one of the best players on the planet. But it's hard to say that about a right back, of course. But just so complete. So yeah, I think I changed my answer. And the reason why, another reason, like you could think about the Arsenal game. Remember the debate going into that game? It's like, okay, Rice and Caicedo, the two best midfielders in the Premier League. Like, who's going to show their class? And Caicedo, you know who he partners in that game is Reece James. And you know who's the best midfielder on the pitch in that game? It's Reece James. Reece James was the best player on the entire pitch, and he wasn't named Rice or Caicedo, and he played in the defensive midfield that game. That's another thing. We've seen midfield that kind of added to Reece James' game this year, and we saw it a little bit last year too, but just how complete he is. Like how many other right backs can play in the defensive midfield just as good as they can play right back. So, yeah, that is my answer. Um, okay. Aston Villa in
It's
third.
tricky for me.
Really?
I have like six
I think
answers.
Morgan Rogers is my answer. I think he's my answer. He's been so good. I think he'll get a huge move in the summer because Villa kind of have to sell. Not that Villa aren't a huge club, but I think that they are in a position financially where they kind of have to sell. I think it's Morgan Rogers though. He is so good and probably starts for England at this moment as well.
My my answers, I have to like semi doubt them simply because like some of these guys aren't fit, and if they were fit, they would help so much for Villa's cause. Like Boubacar Kamara, like you can ask any Villa fan, they just love Boubacar Kamara. But and I'm one of those players who admire his game, but he just can't stay fit. And if he could just
Mm-hmm.
simply stay fit, he would easily be it. But I've always been a fan of Yuri Tillemans. I feel like he doesn't get the credit he
Yeah.
gets, just because he's not like what most people would expect. Like, there's a lot of players who do the simple things so well that because they're not flashy with it, they don't get the recognition they deserve. And I feel like Yuri Tillemans has always been one of those kind of players, even from his Leicester days, even from the days in Anderlecht at Belgium. There's not much flash to his game, but it's the fact that he does those simple things so well, especially as an eight. He does it so well that it's like it's just hard not to admire. It's kind of like it kind of just reminds me a little bit of Busquets. Like Busquets again, not a flashy player by any means, but when it comes to controlling possession, picking out the right pass, progressing the ball into the final third, he knew how to do it so exceptional. And I feel like Yuri Tillemans, I need to give him the credit that he deserves now because he's
Mm-hmm.
been very important for the title charge that I can't even believe I'm saying that for the title charge that Villa is even on right now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but Onana, same thing. Defensively, he puts in the work. He puts in the shift that is needed. He stabilizes that midfield a lot. Emi Martinez, we've been saying it since he's arrived there. Emi Martinez has really showed his class. Some days he's really off of it, but some days he's really on it. And without him in net, but I don't want to give it to him either. So with all that said, I think I have to stick with Yuri Tillemans. I've just always found Yuri Tillemans to be very underrated. Um, and so yeah, I'm gonna trust my gut and just stick with Yuri Tillemans. But Villa has a
Yeah.
lot of players that I could list, a lot of them. But
Mm.
I will definitely
Tillemans
give it to
was
Tillemans.
he was my number two because he's
Yeah,
been so good this season, and yeah, and last season, and he's such a good player, and he has been like he was Leicester's best player for a few years easily, I would say, and yeah, I agree. Tillemans is probably second, but I just think Morgan Rogers he starts for England at this
no,
moment,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he's been so good, and so I think he's my choice. Now Manchester City, who are beating Newcastle at this very moment, in our if they win this game, they're only 2 points off of Arsenal in first. Who is your answer for Manchester City?
The cop out is Holland. The cop out is Holland, but I'll be honest, I'm not going with Holland. I'm going with Bernardo Silva.
Bernardo Silva.
It's
I
one of those
guess.
things where it's
Pep.
just eye test, man. I thought Bernardo Silva was finished. I'll be honest. I thought he was done for, finished. It was out of his legs. He's 31. He's just gonna get to ride the coast of Guardiola. But not only is he playing an important role for City right now, he is just returning to how he was when he first. I remember first seeing him play in midfield, and I was kind of like, "What are we doing here?" But I don't know what it is with these Portuguese guys in midfield. You can always rely on them to hold the ball well, have close control, keep at their feet, pick out the right passes, and just be involved in almost any goal. And like even if you watch some of City's goals currently, he has only 4 assists this season. But if you ever like watch how they're scoring, they never don't score without Bernardo Silva touching the ball or making some kind of impact of beating his man with a close control touch or diverting the opposition to a different direction to focus it so the ball can go down the middle towards Holland or find
Mm.
Cherky who will find Holland. Like there's a lot of things that he does individually himself that create space for other teammates around him that is just it's hard for me to like not notice it. It's hard for me to be like, oh man, like like we know what Holland is capable of. And 22 goals is not something that we can just like ignore, and I won't ignore it. Holland is doing bits, but without Bernardo Silva being able to find the right, like even like he Bernardo Silva is one of those players that he's even dangerous without the ball because without him having the ball, he's creating space for somebody else that you can't even see until the ball is whipped and you're like, "Oh, that's why you went over there." Okay. So that's why I'm giving it Bernardo Silva. And it can be argued and anyone that argues it, I'm perfectly fine with it. Mine is strictly off of eye test when I watch City play, it's like, yeah, you know what? I'll give it to Bernardo Silva. I'll give it to him.
Yeah. I think Holland is my answer, but I was actually if it's not Holland for me, it's Donnarumma. I think Donnarumma is
Yeah,
such a good goalkeeper, and it is I have so much respect for Enrique and just how good of a coach he is. But for me, if you have Donnarumma on your team, it's not a question of like you don't bring in another keeper that can play that style of football better. For me, you change the way that your team plays to fit Donnarumma, having Donnarumma. Like he's such a good goalkeeper. So what? He's not Alisson or Ederson with his feet. He is the best shot stopper on the planet at this moment in time. And Pep Guardiola saw that, and he's like, "How on earth am I able to get a goalkeeper that good for like 20 million?" Obviously, the wages are one thing, but like Pep's like, "I am literally the author and inventor of the style of play that everybody wants to play, and I want this guy in my
yep.
team because he's that good of a shot stopper." And so Holland, I think, isn't so good. He's just a freaking monster. Um, but I think if it's not Holland, it's Donnarumma because he's
Yeah.
just such a good keeper. It's boring, so I'll say Holland. Um, Arsenal, the
All
mighty.
three, and none of them are attackers.
I think Declan Rice for me or Gabriel. Declan Rice or Gabriel are my two. Are my two.
I've got Declan, Gabriel, and Raya. Simply just
Yeah.
because Raya's already tied his clean sheet record with Arsenal, halfway through the season.
Mhm.
But I also cannot just simply give him that credit because I know a big part of that is Saliba and Gabriel. And if you ask most Arsenal fans, they're going to tell you that Gabriel is a level above Saliba. Not that Saliba can't
Mhm.
catch Gabriel, but Gabriel is just a whole different animal this season and even last season. He's very important for them set piece wise, of course, when they're you know pulling off illegal pushing and shoving to get goals. But that's a conversation for another day. Um, but his defending, at least that's legal. And then Declan Rice is just, whether it's defensively, offensively, he's the heart of their midfield. It's kind of hard to ignore those things. It's kind of hard to ignore that. Saka, Starboy, has not really been Starboy this season, but it's not in a way where it's like Arsenal fans should be worried. It's more in a sense of because of how balanced the team is now. Saka doesn't have to take on all the responsibility by himself. He finally has people to help him out. So that's pretty good. Kind of disappointed by Gyökeres. I really thought that when we were having this conversation, it would be Gyökeres, just because you know how long everybody has been saying, "Oh, if Arsenal had a real nine, it'd be over." Like that's the last miss. That's like the Infinity Stone. That's the last piece that's missing. But it hasn't really worked out. But I don't really think Gyökeres is as bad as people make him out to be. I mean, he currently has 8 goals. It kind of just reminds me of like Nunez. It's not scoring the numbers that you would expect to score for somebody of the amount of money you spent, but it's not like they're not having an impact. He's still having an impact. So okay. But jokes aside, I do think Gabriel and Rice are my two. But if I had to pick one, I'll probably go Declan Rice. It's hard because like the way I was trying to compare it is best midfielders right now versus best center backs right now, who's higher on that respected list, and I have them both at third. So I mean, I don't really know. Like one way or the other, I have the same amount of level in choice as Rice is the best Arsenal player right now as I do with Gabriel is the best right now. All I know is it's not Martinelli, it's not Jesus.
Mhm.
It is. I don't even know how to say his last name. We'll just say the OG Gabriel M. Gabriel.
Yeah. I think it's Rice and Gabriel. I remember there was a period where like everybody thought Saliba was like best center back on the planet, and then suddenly Gabriel overtook him,
Yep.
and he is just so good. And it's just good defending. Like Saliba's way more athletic. I think but just Gabriel is such an intelligent defender,
His
and so but I
anticipation
still think
is
it's
just
Rice.
underrated.
Rice is just a complete midfielder. I
Yeah.
think that Declan Rice, he just can do everything. The free kicks against Real Madrid. I'm not an Arsenal fan, and I was losing my mind when he scored those. And so, anyways, that was good. That was good. I think for the last segment, I suppose. I don't know. Would you prefer to review summer signings of both of our clubs from last year, or would you prefer to talk about this upcoming summer and who we would want to sign? Because I guess we've already kind of talked about summer signings a little bit in this, like from this last summer. But
We could segue into both simply because like mine is going to
mm,
be a little bit shorter. Simply because I'll just kick it off just and then we can see where it goes. Simply because I'll start with Liverpool. Don't really expect much in the summer if I'm going to be honest. But I could see some happening, but I don't really expect much. Van Dijk will be on the last year of his contract. I expect us to keep him. Salah will be on the last year of his contract. I expect us to keep him. I think that we kind of want to just have them leave as Liverpool legends. Um, if it was up to me, I would cash in on both of them just because Saudi is lurking, and if you ever in doubt and need money, Saudi comes calling. Um, but I also do want to see them have like that proper walk off. Robertson is out of contract by the end of this year. We tried to sell him to Tottenham for like 20 mil. That fell down. So we're going to keep him to the final 6 of his contract, meaning that we're going to have to be in the market for a new left back. Joe Gomez is really injury prone, and we've already seen like the revamp of the Liverpool defense. We've been buying a lot of youth center backs who I'm excited to see over the upcoming years as they grow into their potential. We've got Leone, we've got Jeremy Jacquet, who Leone is kind of just for his age, he's a very mature playing center back. No, I don't want to say no nonsense, but no risks. Um, it's very composed how he defends. It's very, and I'm sure like it's there's a reason behind it because you when you grow up in Italy, you know how focused Italians are focused within the defending. Like we've seen the greatest of the greats from defenders come out:
Mm-hmm.
Maldini, Cannavaro, Nesta, all these Chiellini, Barzagli, like the list just goes on and on. Like defense is just Italy's heritage, and these are all defenders that weren't really like risky kind of defenders. They were all just focused on the task at hand, keep a clean sheet, keep a clean sheet, keep a clean sheet, and that's kind of like how Leone plays. So I'm excited to see. It's unfortunate that he tore his ACL, but I'm very excited to see how that works out. Jeremy Jacquet, again, one of those players who, statistically wise, is up there with the likes of Van Dijk, Konate. He has a better aerial duel success rate than Konate and Van Dijk right now. His anticipation at such a young age, reading tackles, averages 1.7 tackles a game, is very, very, very good for somebody so young. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, it's just the French league. It's just the French league." But these are things that can translate to no matter what league you're playing in. Brilliance can translate to any league you're playing in. There's some players that we've seen who averaged less stats in other leagues and come to bigger leagues and just kill it. Esteval being one of those players where it's like, oh, like statistically he's not really looking that good playing at Palmeiras, comes to Premier League and hasn't put a wrong foot in. He looks like one of the most dangerous wingers currently playing right now. Um, and so that's why it's kind of hard when I'm like stats aren't everything, but I'll bring up stats. There are certain stats where like they can't go unheated, you know. And aerial success is one of those things. That's one of those things that I feel like when he moves to the Premier League won't go down. It's one of those things where I feel like will stay in relatively the same area. Especially when it comes to stats that require physical attributes. Jeremy Jacquet has already proved that he can do it with the best of them. I mean, because realistically, PSG's in that league, and he does fine against those guys. Um, so I'm not really worried in terms of transfers. I will say that I do think we're going to be looking for a different left back. I don't know whether Kirkes is going to continue to be our first choice left back or whether we're going to go try and find something different. Um, I've heard rumors that we are currently linked with Frankfurt's left back Brown, who's currently killing it for Frankfurt. He's been killing it for Frankfurt. I wouldn't be opposed to it. Just seems like a little bit too young, but at the same time, same age as Kirkez. If we want to take that gamble, I wouldn't mind taking that gamble, but I also know Frankfurt won't be letting him go for like 20 mil, 30 mil. It'll be something around like 60, 70, which
And
realistically, I don't want to spend 60, 70 mil on a left back that will be competing for somebody else. Like I would rather just get somebody who's proven, who can either be a backup or we go all in on a left back who is going to bench Kirkez. But considering that we've just bought Kirkez, I find it very unlikely that we're going to find a left back to replace him. Um, Midfield, I don't really think we're gonna do anything. I'll be honest. I know Slot loves our midfield the way it is. I know Alexis McAllister's dropped in form, but I really find it hard to see him like selling to cash in on him right now. But if it does happen, then that I know the only way that we bring in a midfielder is if we lose a midfielder. So Curtis Jones was linked with a move to Inter in January. I'm assuming that if we give him the game time that he actually wants, which I feel like he deserves, he won't want to leave because he bleeds Liverpool through and through. Harvey Elliott, we may get him back next season. We may not. I don't think Slot likes Harvey Elliott, so I do expect him to be sold. Zabazlai, don't really see him being sold. Gravenberch, that's Arne Slot's second son. I don't think he'll be selling him. Wingers is where I really want to see some change. I know that Cody Gakpo will be here as long as Arne Slot's here because that is his son. Never wants to drop him no matter what the cause is. But I would really like to find a winger who is not afraid to take on his defender. I think we're really missing Luis Diaz right now. We had a little bit of dynamic possibilities from Luis Diaz. He could take on his opponent one on one, but he could also cut in inside just as well. He could also whip in across on his left foot just as well. He could just do a lot of things, pressing. Like we just miss somebody like that, and I feel like Yan Diomande is somebody that I would really like. He's leading the league in Europe right now with dribbles attempted and dribbles succeeded. Currently averages 5.4 completed dribbles a game, and again, that's one of those things where anyone who doesn't watch it is like, oh, it's Bundesliga, it's not the tough competition, but those are stats that I believe translates into leagues, no matter what league you go to. Bottom line is whether it's too high because he's in the Bundesliga or too low. Bottom line is it's a player who's willing to go at his man, take him one on one, dribble, make something happen, and then let Salah and the more clinical players do the rest. Kind of takes the burden off of Salah and all those guys to dribble as much and Verts and all that. So I would be intrigued if we go in for a winger. I know Chiesa wants more game time, but we can't give him that because we have Salah. And when we play him, he kind of looks a bit rusty compared to how he used to be at Juve. But I think he's very good for a team like us. I think he's very good off the bench, but I can understand why Chiesa would want to be on a team where he wants to start. So I'm not really mad at that. Strikers, we don't need to buy any new strikers. I'm very intrigued to see if we can maybe try a Katike at left wing. I do see a bit of Thierry Henry in him, but I also do like the way he links up with Verts as a false nine, while Verts gets to play either out wide or in that free roll position to kind of break down low blocks. Um, I like the connection that they've built so far, and I would be a fool to want to like dismantle that. Um, but yeah, realistically, just that left back and wingers. I think we've done all the defensive revamping that we really plan on doing for now. Um, right back again, it's not really something that we need a new right back. It's just we need them to stay healthy. Um, Midfielders, we've got Trainiani, Basetic, who are coming up the ranks. So I'm not really worried about that. Again, it's really just those wingers, and Yan Diomande is reminds me a lot of like what we've been missing within like a Luis Diaz. Maybe like the stats, finishing wise, and all that isn't the same as what we'd get in the Luis Diaz. But again, these are players that can grow into those things. From what we are seeing stats wise, these are players that can grow into that and help out. Even defensively, his defensive numbers as a winger is pretty good. He loves to track back, and he's involved. He's just it's just a good it's like kind of going back to like what I was saying with Enzo. I know that Leipzig is going to charge out the wazoo for a player like that, but for the investment we're getting back, he's I want to say he's only 20. He's really really
I think
young,
he's 19.
which is even better. So like
Mm-hmm.
I'll take that. I'll take that. But yeah, over the summer I realistically would only just hope to kind of just see some new wingers come in that maybe he doesn't want to bring in a new winger because I know we have Rio and Gamoa who's very good at taking on his man, but in my personal opinion, and it hurts to say, I don't think he's ready. I don't think he's far off from being ready, but I also just don't think he's ready. But I could also just be saying this because I also see a limited amount of game time from him when he plays. Because when he plays for the academy, he looks overqualified to be in our first team. But then he'll get like his chances against like small sides, like, and this is no disrespect to those small sides, but compared to them like Barnsley, Shrewsbury, all them, and he doesn't play bad, but it's not like, oh my gosh, this guy needs to be starting, this guy needs to be starting, this guy needs to be starting. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
like I kind of feel like Gakpo was missing a bit of that competition that he had with Luis Diaz. Like Gakpo would go on a good run, then play like poop. Then Luis would go on a good run, then play like poop. And like he needs somebody to keep him on his toes. I feel like right now Gakpo doesn't really have anybody at left wing to keep him on his toes, which is causing Arne Slot to just force him to play him out on the wing. Um, and just treat him like a son, which I don't really have a problem with until like I don't have a problem with players having special relationships with managers until it really gets evident and it's like, okay, this person is causing us to be lackluster in the way that we attack or the way we counterattack, or this person is not hitting this person and it breaks down our offense, we need to drop him. And he goes, well, I can't drop him because our next best option is Rio and Gamoa, who is an unproven 17, 18-year old.
Mm-hmm.
um so it makes it hard. I understand the position Arne Slot is in, but like it's hard for me to not say fair. But I would, if we're deciding to bank on Rio and Gamoa, I'm also not mad at that. Saves us a bunch of peas, saves us a bunch of money, so not worried about that. But yeah, realistically for the summer, wingers and the left back, and I'll call it good.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to get greedy, maybe a more defensive minded six. But again, I feel like Gravenberch can do the job. I feel like he can do the job. I feel like our
Yeah.
midfielders can do the job that is asked of them, required of them. I feel like midfield is the furthest thing from what we need to be focused on. It's been a problem this season, but it's a problem that can be fixed. Because granted, these are the same players that just won a Premier League title. Like the midfield has not
Mm-hmm.
changed. Szoboszlai, McAllister, Gravenberch are the same midfielders that got us to where we were in our title charge. So it's got to be something bigger than that. Whereas the defense is, they've got a new left back and right back. Van Dijk and Konate have formed a partnership for years, but it's kind of hard to build a new partnership as a center back with those fullbacks. I understand that. Verge is now trying to be translated as to the heart of our attack, which is something different. So I'm willing to like let this season be like a filler season if it means that we get what we actually need next season to surge forward from this kind of bad slump, bad year that we've had as a Liverpool club. But other than that, transfer news from me and what I expect from Liverpool in the summer is not really that much. I'll be honest, especially considering the fact that we just spent 400 plus million. Don't really expect us to sign that much unless we offload. If we don't offload certain players, then I don't expect us to be in the market this season or this upcoming summer transfer window. But it's exciting nonetheless. It is exciting to see what may happen. It may not even be the same coach. I hope it is, just
Mhm.
because you know how highly I rate Arne Slot. Yes, he gets on my nerves sometimes, but at the end of the day, his resume speaks for himself. But you know, it could be a different guy. We could be going to the summer with Xabi Alonso by our side, so it could be all disintegrated and like he just decides to just wipe out the entire team. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's all I have to say in terms of Liverpool. I know Chelsea will be a lot more interesting for the summer. You've got a lot more things
Yeah.
to replace. I know Tosin is one of those players that should maybe potentially be replaced, even though we got him, or you guys got him on a free. You could flip him for profit, which would be pretty good. And then I know there are a little bit of other concerns of players who aren't bad, but necessarily not the caliber of players to challenge for titles as we're used to seeing Chelsea challenge for.
Yeah, there's one thing that you can guarantee, and it's that we will be busy, as always. Um, I think that we are starting to develop a really strong core of players, and I just they need to develop well together. All of them are so young, and they just not all of them, of course, but a lot of them are so young. There is like a clear leadership group developing out of the young players, of course, Reece James, but I think he's even starting to become more of a leader as he gets older. I think Enzo Fernandez, Moises Caicedo, obviously they're vice captains, and Levi Colwell, of course, we haven't seen him at all this year because he tore his ACL, and so there is there is a strong leadership group growing. There's a good core of players there that I think can develop and become really good. But there are just some clear gaps in our team that I think need addressed. I think goalkeeper is an interesting one. I'll just kind of work up the team from goalkeeper because if you asked me a year ago, 6 months ago, I'm like, absolutely, we need to sign a goalkeeper. But this season, Rob Sanchez has actually been pretty good. Like he's not making the same mistakes he was anymore. Of course, there's a red card against United. There was the mistakes against Arsenal. But you look at any goalkeeper and their whole body of work over the season, they're easily in the most mistake-prone position of the pitch. Every goalkeeper makes mistakes. Allison makes mistakes often, but also he's an incredible goalkeeper. I'm not comparing Rob Sanchez to Allison. And I'm not saying that Robert Sanchez is like an incredible goalkeeper, but he's been really good. He's saved us points this season. He's made huge saves. Good shot stopper. I think that his developed or his um just he's getting better with his feet. I don't know why the word isn't coming to my brain. It starts with a D. His distribution is getting better. But I think he's more comfortable playing it long, which is good because he's not as good in short distribution, but he always has had good long distribution. I think he has an assist this season. I want to say to Pedro. Um, I'm pretty sure I can double check that. But he's had good distribution and I think with that, he does have an assist this season. Yeah, in the Prem. We have Mike Penders, known as Strasbourg, who is really, really promising young player. And I would love to see. I think he could use another loan, or he could come in next season and compete with Sanchez. Um, I think Penders is a really good young player. He's developing, I think, exactly as we hoped that he would on loan at Strasbourg. But I think goalkeeper is an interesting one because we might need to sign one because I think Jorgensen will go. Jorgensen is, I don't even need to talk about it. He's just not, he's not great. And I think he'll go. And depending on kind of where Penders goes, whether it's another loan or whether he stays, could determine whether we need to sign another goalkeeper, like a kind of stopgap second option that can compete with Sanchez. But fullbacks, I think we're good. I'd be surprised if we sold any of them. Obviously, Kukurea and James aren't going anywhere. But even Gusto and Hato, I'd be surprised if they went anywhere. Hato is really young. Gusto has been frustrating this season at times, but I still think that he's a great just deputy to Reece James, especially now that Reece starting to be more healthy. I still think that Gusto is a good backup. He's about as good as it gets, honestly, as a backup right back. And we know the good performances are in there, like the Club World Cup final. He started against PSG and played really well. He had an assist and was just really important. He made Nuno Mendes look like a fool. So fullback, I'd be surprised. Center back is absolutely a position that needs to be addressed in the summer. I thought we were going to address it in January, and we kind of did. We recalled Mamadou Sarr. But I think we have a good... I think Fofana is starting to be healthy. He's still mistake prone, obviously, like today, the red card. But we're starting to see, like, you think of his assist against West Ham, where, like, that's Wesley Fofana at his best. Just charging forward with the ball at his feet. He's so good. Just progressing the ball. And just charging forward, dribbling, almost looking like Reece James, just perfect cross into Joao Pedro, and he heads it in. And like that's like the epitome of Wesley Fofana. Just the ball progression. He is an aggressive, like front-footed defender. He's comfortable stepping out and taking players on. And I think that kind of goes well with Levi Colwell. I think especially with his injury, kind of recovering from that, I think he's going to probably end up being just a little bit more of a... You have West who can step up in defense and make challenges in the midfield, and then you have Levi kind of as the last kind of line of defense in behind. And Levi Cole is really good with the balls over the top. Like, Wesley Fofana is better at progressing the ball, like running with the ball, and Levi Cole is better at finding the passes and just his general distribution. But I still think center back is a weakness. Mamadou Sarr was really good in his debut against Hull, and I think that he's a really good young player. Aaron Anselmino, I think is a really bright young player. I'm kind of sad that we recall him from Dortmund, but I understand, all of that stuff and now he's at Strasbourg, which I still don't think is a bad place for him. But I think Badiashile and Tosin have to go. I don't understand why Badiashile is still rated as highly as he is within the club. He's done nothing over the last couple. That's it. And I understand that, like, he's still young. He's left-footed. He's kind of an interesting profile because he's big. He is, like, comfortable on the ball, apparently. That's what they say. I'm not sure if I believe that, but I get it.
Said the same about Disassi.
Yeah, well, Disassi, a disaster. But, yeah, I think he needs to go. I think Tosin was really important to us last season. I have no idea what's happened this season. Like, just suddenly he has just forgotten how to defend. Kind of at fault for the goal today, but that was just bad defending altogether. And it's Wes's fault for getting the red card because we had full control over that game. Anyways, I still think Tosin should go. And I think he's really important, not even just on the pitch sense, but while this team is still so young, bringing in a guy who's willing just to say, like, hey, like, I'm experienced, like, I'm going to come in as a leader and just help these guys. And that's what he did. But I think that now we have this new leadership group developing. I think Tosin can comfortably kind of go somewhere else. And I just don't think he's Chelsea quality, frankly. Trev is an interesting one. I love Trev, and I don't want him to go anywhere, but I wouldn't be surprised if we sold him just because of everything that we've put him through over the last couple of years. And I would say Trev leaving is dependent on whether we bring someone in. Like, I think easily we keep, like, Achimpong, who is incredible, I think should stay. And I think he's such a good young player. Obviously made the mistake against Leeds, but he's 19 years old. And so he looked like he's just freaking out. And that's going to happen. But when he is comfortable defending, he's really good. I remember you talking him up like 2-3 years ago when he was in our academy. And I just think he's really good. Versatile, can play right back, center back, but he's just a great young center back for the future. But I think center back is a position that we should address because we're not completely sure about Colwell's return timeline and just necessarily how strong he'll come back. Obviously, we want to have full faith that he will come back healthy and as good as he was. But the player that I would suggest, and I'd be interested, maybe if for each position that you diagnose you need a player, if you could choose one player that you would like to sign. The player that I suggest at center back, and there's been some rumors last summer, and it's an interesting one, but especially if we sold that deal, and especially if this club gets relegated, is Murillo from Nottingham Forest. He's a left-footed defender, but I think would both complement Fofana so well, and I know he's left-footed, so we'd have to do two left-footed center backs, but I think they could play together. Colwell and Murillo, I think, would be a really strong partnership as well. And I think Murillo is so good. A little undersized, but he's just a bulldog, and he's kind of similar to Wesley Fofana in how he progresses the ball. Like he's comfortable dribbling. I think even the back three of them would be fun. Murillo and Fofana on either side of Colwell kind of in the middle. We know that Rossignol is no stranger to a back three. We've played a back three twice now with him against Arsenal and against Napoli, and so I think that would be a really interesting signing, and we've been linked with it. He kind of makes sense. He could join the Samba boys at Chelsea, Santos, Pedro Estevao, bring another Brazilian guy in, bring the Samba boys, keep up in it. I think Murillo's so good. He'd be really exciting transfer, and if they get relegated, I would imagine it'd be like 40 mil. If they stay, I would imagine it'd be probably up to like 70 million, I would imagine. But he's just so good. I think he's such a good player. Kind of seems Chelsea-ish to me as well. Kind of has some Rudiger about him in the way that, like, when he gets the ball, sometimes he just wants to just run forward and just rip a shot from like 40 yards out, just crush a shot. And I kind of miss that. Like Rudiger used to do that all the time. And then he finally scored one against Brentford and just freaked out. But I kind of miss having a center back because Wesley Fofana did it and it was for a cross, but having a center back just charge forward and just blast a shot from like 40 yards. It's kind of fun. So it'd be nice to have that again. Obviously, midfield is interesting because apparently Romeo Lavia is a really good player, but he never plays. And he is a really good player. But a crazy fact, Romeo Lavia has obviously been a Chelsea player for 2.5 years. He has never played 90 minutes for Chelsea.
Really?
He's never played 90 minutes. Let's continue to dive deeper in these insane stats. He has 4 appearances for us this season. His first season with Chelsea, he only made 1 appearance all season. He only had 18 appearances last season. Only 11 of them starts, but only 18 appearances last season. 1 appearance in his first. So in 2.5 years, he has made 30 appearances for Chelsea. And that's it. Obviously, like we've never seen him full health, full confidence. I was thinking about this the other day. Imagine we've started to see Enzo a little bit more comfortable playing wide. Not that this is something that should happen constantly, but imagine the starting lineup. Keep goalkeeper, center backs, however you want. But Cucurella and Reece James, Cucurella doing what he does and just bombing up and down the left. Him and Enzo Fernandez. Enzo Fernandez on the left. They seem to have a really good relationship there with Enzo in the half space, Cucurella up and down on the left flank. You have Reece James and Cole Palmer just on the right. And then you have a midfield 3. Caicedo kind of doing what he did today, dropping in between the center backs for a passing option. And then you have Romeo Lavia and Andre Santos basically as like a pivot /8s. and just a midfield three of Lavia, Santos, Caicedo. Unbelievable. If Romeo Lavia is actually a footballer, I don't know if he is. I haven't seen it. Um, Romeo Lavia is really good, and but the thing is, if he's not healthy, even by the end of the season, we might have to make a decision on him because we can't afford to have a player. But we know he's a player there, and when he plays, I think even he had a really good performance against you guys like a year ago. And he's a different profile because I'd say Santos and Caicedo aren't as strong in like dribbling and just like ball carrying ability, where Romeo Lavia has that, and he's really good at progressing the ball and carrying the ball, and so we kind of need that. We've missed it since Kovacic, honestly, having a player who can just pick it up and just carry it himself. So I would love to see him be healthy, but I don't really know. I wouldn't be surprised if we signed one like Dario Asugo. Apparently, obviously he's been injured all season, but he's supposed to be a great deputy to Caicedo. I haven't seen him, so I don't know. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I'm sure there'll be a few just weird signings this summer. But like center back is one that we need to address. The 10 is an interesting one because we only really have one player who's a 10. It's Cole Palmer. Like we have players on loan, and Esteval can play there. Obviously, Enzo Fernandez can play there. But Kendry Páez was supposed to be his deputy, and then Kendry Páez, all he wants to do is just party. And so he is now on loan at River Plate, which is disappointing because I was really expecting. I was expecting. Yeah, unfortunately, because I was expecting him to have a really good impact at Strasbourg and kind of be ready to come into the team next year, and that's not the case. So 10, I think, is a place that can be strengthened, but I know there's rumor that we want to sign kind of a versatile attacking midfielder who can also play wide, and we just talked about one a little bit ago, who's 18 years old and currently tearing it apart in the Premier League, who plays for a team that is surely getting relegated and will cost a cut fee and fits our transfer strategy of signing people under the age of 13. Mateus Mane, I think, would be brilliant. He can play the 10. He's good in the half spaces. I mean, he can even play 8. He has. I don't think he should necessarily, but he has played in the 8. He can play in the half spaces. He can play wide. He's just always wants to do something with the ball. He's creative. I think he'll go to a big club this summer. The big club will take a chance, and Chelsea just feels like they would, just with our transfer strategy and policy. And so that's kind of my choice. I think in terms of like direct backups for Cole Palmer, you have Enzo Fernandez, you have Esteval, and then we can't forget we have an absolute superstar coming in this summer in Giovanni Kenda from Sporting. He is coming as well, and that's a really exciting signing as well because he's a really good young player. On the wings, right wing is set. I am in the minority of really liking Pedro Neto. I understand that he's really frustrating. And when he gets the ball, there's two things that he's going to do. And it's either run straight down the flank and low-driven cross to absolutely nobody, or he's going to run straight down the flank, fake cross, cut back to his left, and then low-driven cross to absolutely nobody. And that's just generally the perception of Pedro Neto. But like the off-the-ball work, if you look at his stats this season, he's been one of our most productive players. Like he's scoring goals, he's assisting. He just scored a hat trick in the FA Cup, playing the 10 as well, which is bizarre. But it worked well, and he looked really good. We've seen Rossignol kind of want to push him more in the central positions, which I really like. Because obviously Maresca pretty much played him exclusively as a winger, if not a striker, like an emergency striker like he did at times last season. But I think Neto's really good. I'm in the minority of Chelsea fans who really appreciate and like Pedro Neto. And Esteval is obviously a superstar. But the left wing is where it gets concerning. Because Garnacho looks like he has forgotten how to play football. Um, he scored 2 goals against Arsenal, and then he was like, "Okay, that's all I got. That's it." And he's been disappointing. He's had good moments. I think he has had better moments than Gittins, but I understand why Chelsea directors are so high on Gittins. Gittins is younger than Garnacho. He's still figuring out this physicality of the Premier League. He's so nonchalant. Gittins is. Whenever he gets the ball, he's just he tries to just look cool as heck, and he just needs to cut that out. And when he gets the ball, he just needs to just be aggressive, try to take a player on or do something with it. And usually he gets the ball and he tries to do some BS step over or something, and then just gets it ripped off of him. But when he's actually direct and trying to do something, he looks good. And I understand he's so quick. He's a great dribbler. He has a good finish on him. We saw that with Dortmund. We've even seen that times this season. Just he needs to be more aggressive, and I really like having him as an option. But we absolutely need a new left winger. So whether we sign Mane and we bring in a new left winger or something like that, I don't know. But we need somebody on the left desperately. We needed somebody on the left desperately last season, and still they decided on Gittins and Garnacho being those guys for whatever reason. But because we've needed somebody on the left, we have been forced to play Pedro Neto out of position and now Enzo Fernandez on the left because of how bad our left wing options are this season. So we need someone desperately. Striker, obviously you mentioned João Pedro has been so good. It feels good to have a striker that actually is involved. Liam has really unlocked something really good in him over the last few weeks, and he's been so much more involved, scoring goals. We saw that over the summer, and then we saw it kind of in glimpses the first half of the season. But he has just been turned to a whole new level, and I really like Joao Pedro, and I want him to be at Chelsea for a long time. And obviously, we have Emmanuel Omega coming in this summer, which is an interesting one. He's been injured almost all season, but when he plays for Strasbourg, he scores, and so that's what you want. I really like the profile of Omega and Pedro. I think Omega, he's so fast. Pedro is he's a little bit more cheeky, you could say, but Omega is more of just tall, strong, fast, kind of just run past you, outpace you. He's an interesting profile, and I like him kind of with Pedro. And to be honest, I really like Delap, Pedro, and Omega as the 3 striker options, but I understand that that's greedy a little bit. And so the unfortunate reality is that I wouldn't be surprised if Delap is sold if he doesn't kind of figure it out in the next couple months, because I really like him. I understand he spent most of the season out injured. I like just his bulldog attitude. Sometimes it can be kind of just dumb. It's just why are you doing that? Why did you just shove him over and get a yellow card for no reason? I understand he's frustrated, but I like the bulldog attitude. He played really well against Hull, and I know people probably were like, that's his level, championship. But I don't think that's the case. There's a really good player in there, and it might not be at Chelsea. But he's one of those guys where if you sell him, he could end up becoming England's number 9 and being really good. So it's one you need to be careful about. But it's one that he probably just needs to be in the right situation, and I hope it's Chelsea, but I wouldn't be surprised if he goes. But all in all of that to say, I think center back, maybe a goalkeeper, left winger for sure. Something needs to be addressed there. Quenda, I know, can play there, but he's naturally a right winger. But he kind of, I don't know, he's so young, he's played everywhere. He's literally played right back and left back and right wing and left wing. So we'll kind of see where he develops, how he develops. But left wing and Cam, I don't think striker needs to be addressed because Pedro and we have Omega coming in. So, and then I'm sure we'll sign a million kids in there. And maybe we need to sign a 6 as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we sign a 6 just because of Lavia's fitness issues and then Asugo's fitness issues and just general kind of doubt over how good of a player Asugo is because I haven't seen him. So, anyways, that's all I got.
I mean, yeah, I think for the most part, I agree with you. Mainly, I feel like it's been a big issue. Well, not a big issue, but I feel like it's been like a big topic point for a lot of Chelsea fans for a long time coming now about just that defensive pairing, those two center backs. Just talking about who's gonna pair with. Obviously, Levi Colwill is like the future of that back line. I think we can all agree that like a lot of Chelsea fans would like that, but it's about finding that right partner for Colwill so that you can continue to build on something. Wesley Fofana has been really good. We all know what he's capable of. We all know his abilities. It's more just about one, not getting suspended every now and then, and two, staying fit. And I feel like that's
Mhm.
the story for a lot of Chelsea players that everyone knows the quality that they have. Everyone knows the kind of caliber player they are. It's just about staying fit. Lavia is the same way. I'm saying this as somebody who our club competed and rivaled along with Man United to sign Lavia because we know about the talent he's had. Only spent 1 year at Southampton because 1 year at Southampton was all it took to prove that he is Prem ready, that he is capable of being able to hold the ball in tight spaces as a six, distribute it well, um, and just pretty much just all in all have good control as a midfielder to for any team that would like control within the midfield. Lavia seemed like the kind of player who was going to do just that for a big team. Hasn't really had the luck of staying healthy, which is a little bit unfortunate. So I feel like that's just a lot of the storylines for a lot of Chelsea players. It's not about doubting their quality, but about is their quality worth having them injured week in, week out, or waiting on them to recover week in? Because like we can agree with Reece James, a lot of people were willing to be patient with Reece James because the difference that Reece James makes when he's on the pitch versus when he's not on the pitch is so crucial to Chelsea runs that it's something that's worth it to the point where like a lot of people doubted him being captain because of how injury prone he is, but it didn't even matter because whether he's on the pitch or not, the leadership that he has overall in the locker room is important. And then even as a player, it's just tenfold. And so I do agree with you in the sense of like I think Chelsea need to be checking on whether like Lavia is going to be one of those players, especially now that you've got Caicedo, you've got Enzo. Like those positions are pretty much solidified now. Now it's just about like okay, can Lavia break in as someone who is like the first call off the bench, or is somebody else going to be brought in and replace him, and then he's not going to have a place on the squad altogether. Um, Batty Chile, I do agree with you. I feel like you guys have been patient long enough. You've given him enough chances. It's not like he's crap, but he's not anywhere near the level where he's supposed to be right now. Good old move back to Monaco wouldn't hurt. Um, Cucurella is arguably, if not the best left back in the Premier League right now.
Mhm.
So I don't really think you guys need to focus on that. Gusto's a good understudy for James, so I don't really see a problem with that. Gittins, I did have high expectations for Bino Gittins just because like he was starting at Dortmund and doing a lot, so I didn't really think that was going to be a hard adjustment for him to rotate minutes with Garnacho on the wing. But I mean, again, like me and you have had conversations since way back in the day, and wingers has always been something that's come up. Like ever since the days like Willian and all them have been like starting to
Mhm.
slow down. Wingers has always been like an issue where it's like it's not that they're bad; it's just their consistency is not good. And Garnacho struggled with consistency as well at United, considering the fact that we were all coming. Well, let me not say we all, but people on social media were calling him the next coming of Ronaldo, and then he quickly just turned into Gabriel Bolar. So I mean, I feel like that's been Chelsea's issue a lot. Like Chelsea's not a bad club by any means. Chelsea doesn't recruit bad players by any means. I think it's just a sense of like these players need to come in and just find a bit of consistency, which would add like it would take off a lot of pressure off the backs of Chelsea fans and Chelsea board. Um, like we can even throw Mudryk in there. Mudryk's not a bad player by any means. I still think to this day Mudryk was worth the money that you spent, especially for the potential and the ability that he already had as a youngster. It's more just about finding that consistency in the Prem, which is, in my opinion, one of the hardest things to find as a newcomer. Um, in the Premier League, consistency is very hard to find. It's not about proving whether I'm Prem ready or not. Like I don't doubt any of these players' abilities that get these big moves. It's more about can you do this week in, week out, or is this something that you can just do on a cold, rainy night at Stoke and then that's it. So eventually, I feel like it started rough for Chelsea, the recruiting process, but I feel like Todd Bowley and staff have started to get the hang of what they need to be targeting and the kind of people they need to be signing. The signings have gotten less ludicrous, in my opinion, as an outsider. They've gotten less crazy and more to like the needs of what the team needs. Like I know a lot of people hated the Garnacho transfer, but there wasn't a single thing about it where I was like, oh, they don't need Garnacho. It was something where I was like, oh yeah, they need wingers, and this is somebody who can rotate with Gaines. He can play on the left, he can play on the right. If they really need him to, he can play at striker. Like he's Premier League experience. Like this, there's nothing bad about this. It's not like you're spending like 90 million on him either. Like you're getting him for around the price that I believe most people would say he's worth. So all in all, I feel like I have a little bit of a soft spot for Chelsea just because of the kind of legends that they've had come through. So I don't really feel like there will be a problem for them next this summer. I feel like as busy as they will be, I do agree with you there. I feel like this will be the season where they find all the correct answers in terms of the winger situation. And now, you know, you don't have to worry about nine for a season. I feel like this is the first season in a long time where me and you have discussed where you guys don't have to worry
Yeah.
about nine. So it's
Mm-hmm.
more about pairing what you have with the nine. So all in all, like it just shows that like when we're talking about stuff like that, it shows that Chelsea is taking steps in the right direction, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for not just Chelsea but just every club in the Prem in fixing what they feel like could strengthen their team as a whole to make another exciting competitive season of Premier League football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, it'll be. I don't know. I feel like you didn't give you guys enough credit. I think you guys will be fairly busy because you guys were last summer. I think that kind of undoing is. I think you guys. There's still a rebuild that needs to happen. Like players are aging. Some players just aren't necessarily what you need them to be. Like I think you should sign a six because Endo is old as dirt at this point and just not playing as much, which means he's just not trusted to cover who's there. And like sure you have Inyoni and you have Badstitich, but like how long have we been saying Badstitich is on the up and up? It's like
Long time.
2021.
Yep.
And it's finally and like he's had injury struggles obviously, but it's just I feel like you need somebody reliable to have cover and win. Like Shabazlar, obviously, he can play there, but I think you don't really have an option that is like purely defensively. I'm gonna kill this guy in a tackle defensive midfielder, which I think you kind of need, and every team kind
100%.
of needs. Like you've seen an aggressive guy who's gonna go for a tackle. Gravenberch has never been that guy. I would say. Like I feel like him and McAllister have never been that guy, and so you do need someone like that. I think I mean, you mentioned LIG2. You need a left back. I
Would
think
be mad at
you
it.
have
But
you
it
have
would
great
come with Prem
competition at right
tax.
back.
That's my only
It
problem.
would,
It comes with Prem tax though.
unless West Ham are not in the Prem next season, which is there is a chance.
That'd be a dream. That'd be a dream.
But I think your attack needs a revamp a little bit. Like just at least I think winger. I think Gakpo. The memes are funny, and Gakpo just needs a good competition. And I agree. I think Rio. How much can a 17-year-old realistically do? And like, sure, it's happened in the past, but I think the current state of the game, you need. I think a loan is probably just smartest for him. Discuss him where he can play consistently and kind of physically mature to Premier League and football. And so I think you need a left winger striker. Obviously, you're set. You have two of the best strikers in the country in your midst, and I would love to see them play together more. And I think it's time you invest in a Salah heir. It's probably been Tom for the last like 2 years,
We keep
and I
saying
think it's finally up time. It's finally time that you bring someone in that can kind of compete with Salah, probably play alongside him for the next year or two, but I think it will eventually displace him. And you mentioned Yan Diomande, and that would be really exciting. Play on the right, obviously different profile to Salah, but just attacking, playmaking. You have a Uzak now, and Ekatike, who can be the main goal threats in your team. So get guys who can get them chances. But I don't know. I think you guys will be busy. Obviously, Chelsea will be busy, and we're figuring it out slowly. I think that our sporting directors, mainly Paul Winstanley, are demons who their primary interest is causing um, agony to Chelsea fans. That's all that they're interested in doing, especially with what they've just done on our women's team, which isn't, our women's team is like the only good thing about Chelsea these days. It has been. Like, of course, Chelsea men's team, we only sign kids now and whatnot. But our women's team, like, we're still signing, like, world beaters. Like, girls from, like, Barcelona, signing, like, the best players in women's football, spending so much money on, like, experienced players. And then Paul Winstanley, I believe, just like personally fired who has been like heading the operation, and I'm sure it's probably just going to do the exact same thing for them. Chelsea women have won like 5 straight Premier Leagues prior to this season, and they are not going to win the league this year. And so basically, Paul Winstanley goes against all things winning and all things actually being a successful football club, and is pro signing a bunch of children. So, Blueco, thank you for your investment in Chelsea. I really appreciate that you guys are willing to spend billions and billions of dollars, but please get different decision makers in to buy those players because I'm sick of it. That's all I have to say. I obviously it's the model that the ownership has decided upon. But I could rant about Blueco all day, and Paul and Stanley and Lawrence Stewart and the demons that run our football club now. um, that sole interest is agony to Chelsea fans, I believe. Um, but yeah, as I said, I could talk about that all day. But should we wrap it up? You'll probably have to make multiple episodes out of this because we've been talking for a long time.
Probably not. Probably not.
Okay.
I think I can fit this into one.
Should we do a super short, if you have access to it, just review of the players that we have, just a review, just rate 1 to 10 the players that our clubs have signed this summer.
I should have it off the top of my head. I should remember.
Yeah.
It's not too many. It's only like 8.
Surprisingly, it's not an insane amount for us either.
uh,
I mean, comparatively.
I'll go. Yeah, yeah. I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right. Let's hear it.
So, starting off, I'll start with the first signing of the summer, which was completed on May 30th, 2025. Jeremy Frimpong for 52 million.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of people are going to agree with me, but I'm I'm wholeheartedly confident in my answer. If it wasn't for injuries, 8 out of 10. Like he just adds a whole different aspect that we haven't seen at right back since Trent when he was like 20. That right hand side when Salah was at AFCON, he just made his. Like I was so worried going into the game against Arsenal, and granted that we tied against Arsenal, it was nice having that comfort of, we have attack down the right hand side. Like he was making their left back work for hours. Like nothing came easy, and every game Frimpong plays, nothing comes easy. He creates at least 2 or 3 dangerous chances in the game where you just sit there and you're like, "Wow, this is what we've been missing." Somebody who just looks their opponent in the eye and goes, "I'm gonna take you on. I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna whip a ball into the box. I'm not gonna waste time trying to keep cute possession or any of that stuff. I'm just gonna try and get this goal." And Liverpool, we've known them; they thrive off chaos. Off those crosses, a lot of chaos happens. Whether it's Gakpo putting it in the back of the net, Salah putting it back in the net, Verts putting it back in the net. Like he finds good passes. So without the injuries, 8 out of 10. I don't like how when people rate certain people, they're like he's injured, so I'm not gonna like. It depends for me, but like if the person is getting is decent when they're playing, I'm still gonna rate them based on their performance, not their injuries, because obviously injuries again, it's just a part of the game. Next, Armin Pesci, 10 out of 10. I know that's crazy. 10 out of 10. In our youth, he is nuts. He's crazy. He has a crazy amount of clean sheets. I think he's currently leading in saves right now, which is nuts. Um, do I really think he's going to play that much when you got Allison and Marmadashvili? No, not really. But great for his career. He's doing bits in the PL too. So, no complaints. Next, Florian Wirtz. Big money flow. I'm probably going to say 7, just because it was a long wait. 7 or 8 out of 10, just because like one of the Verts was one of those players where for a long time, at least the start of his Liverpool career, it wasn't like a numbers guy. The numbers wouldn't say everything. It was more like you have to watch the game. And for oldies like me, I'm not that old, but like when I got to watch the likes of Adel Tarat, Ben Arfa, Musa Dembele, players like that who didn't really have stats to back why they were loved so much by so many people, and it was like mainly eye tests. Florian Wirtz's start to his Liverpool career was mainly just eye tests, and he provided something that Liverpool have not had in so long since we had Coutinho. It was very nice to see freedom, fluidity. The way he was capable of his free roll is so helpful when it comes to breaking down low blocks. Um, and it gives, again, like I mentioned earlier, it gives a great pathway for Ekatike to kind of run off of him, whether he wants to go out wide or charge in through the middle. It gives him a nice little buddy to link up with, and it's been really good. And now we're starting to see it from the statistics side. We're starting to see what it looks like when it actually results in an assist or a goal. So I got to give him 7. Milos Kerkez, I do feel like the heat that he got towards the beginning of the season from Liverpool fans was a bit unnecessary. Like, yes, I get it. Like, there were a lot of moments where he just lost concentration, lost his man, and it resulted in a goal. But it was one of those things that I expected. Like, you're a new fullback coming into a new system. Again, he's not even a defensive-minded fullback. I can't get mad at players for not being defensively sound when they weren't defensively sound in the first place. It's like me getting mad
Mm-hmm.
at Romero for not finishing finesse shots like Salah, even though he's a center back. It doesn't make sense. Like, I expect him to defend to the best of his abilities, and whatever that may be, that is. We know that on the ground, you're not winning against Kirkes. You're not winning against Kirkes. He is a monster on the ground. He's going to give you hell to pass him. You might pass him, but he will give you hell to pass him. On the ground, his duels, he has a very high duel rate on the ground, so I don't mind that. Um, with every positive has to come a negative, unless you're just the best player in the world, and he's not. So, but other than that, if I'm gonna be fair, I'll give it like a 7.5 out of 10. Freddie Woodman, not even gonna waste our time talking about Freddie Woodman.
Hey!
He's not a
Hey!
bad player by any means, but let's be real. Like, we knew it was just to fill in for the homegrown. Like, it has nothing to do with, oh, Freddie Woodman is a great player. Like, this is our Scott Carson. No disrespect to Scott Carson or Freddie Woodman, but this is our Scott Carson. So for that, I'll just
Hey!
randomly give him a 10 out of 10 just because I like his name. Hugo Ekitike,
Hey!
8.5.
Yeah.
8.5. I just don't want to give anybody a 10 just because, like, we wouldn't be in the position we were at if anybody was a 10. And if anyone deserves a 10, it's Soboslai. So, but Hugo Ekitike, he's proven a lot of people wrong and proving me right. So, have that, haters. Have that. No, but he's exceptional. He's amazing. Kind of like how I was talking about when it comes to Florian Wirtz. Hugo Ekitike has almost everything in his locker to become a superstar. He's 6'3", lanky, but can dribble like prime Henri if given the chance. He's very good at making the most of what he has with the chance rather than, you know, only being a finesse shot demon. He can hit you with long shots. He can hit you with close range shots. He can hit you with thunderbolts. He can hit you with chips. Like, his finishing bag is very, very versatile, but the precision is the only thing that's lacking. I would say the one thing I wish he could be better at is heading. But I know it will come along. I don't think he's bad at headers. I just think he's pretty inconsistent. One day he can hit it 10 out of 10 times, and then another day he will hit like 1 out of 10. But those are all things that will come into fruition. €95 million for Ekatike in the next 6 years doesn't seem that bad to me. Giovanni Leone, really happy with that signing. Can't really give him a rating because he played one game and then tore his ACL, unfortunately. But in that game, he was class. I talked about it earlier. The way he plays the game, he's very composed. He's very mature, especially for somebody of his age. At 19 years old, he plays like he's been playing the game for 40 years. Um, I don't want to call it no nonsense, but it really is no nonsense. No risk to his game, nothing silly. If there's space, he'll take the space. If there's not space, he's not going to try and trickle through. He's going to stop, find an open man, give it to either our deep line midfielder, or he's going to pass it to our fullback, reset into position, scan, always looking. Love it. Like he just is one of those players where you fall in love with him because he does the simple things so well. I cannot wait for him to
Mm-hmm.
recover from his injury, and I cannot wait to watch the exciting career that he's going to have. Alexander Isak, gonna be harsh here. 4 out of 10. We spent 144 million on him. He hasn't been fit, and then when he has been fit, can't even find the back of the net. Hasn't been linking well with the teammates. Do I think it's gonna continue that way? No, but if I'm doing this basically off performance, then I got to be real. 4 out of 10. And then Jeremy Jacquet, again, not going to really give a rating, but I will say really good signing. Really happy with how we
Mm-hmm.
were able to get onto him. This, like I was saying earlier about Jeremy Jacquet, the stats speak for himself. He comes with a lot. He comes with a big price on his head for his age. Also, another 19-year-old center back or 20-year-old center back. Um, but the stats speak for himself. What he's leading in, what he's not leading in. He's already being trusted to play center back and right center back as a 20-year-old in a back three, and that says a lot. Um, so those are my ratings, pretty much. I
Yeah.
mean, there's not much I can really give, but there's not much that I can really like take away from these players because there's not anybody that apart from Alexander Isak, there's not a single player that's come into our team and I'm like, oh, he's underperforming. They're all doing their job, if not more. So I think transfer wise, at least I think Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards, Arne Slot, I think they all got it right with the kind of profile that we needed. Formation and all that stuff, I won't really get into that. That's a whole different story. But in terms of the kind of profile of players that we needed to continue to compete, I think we did a very good job. Some of them were steals, some of them we had to put some big money prices down, which I'm okay with. You know, at the end of the day, football is a business. For at least for them, for me, it's not really a business. But from that standpoint, I got to think about it like it is a business for them. Like this is how they make their money. This is how they make their living. So I understand that. But in a time where I was used to us signing players that we didn't really need or were useless or didn't really fit our style of play for what we wanted, I think we did very well in finding the correct profiles that we needed in the style of play that we want to play and
Yeah.
would like to play from henceforward. So
Mm-hmm.
all in all, if I'm to wrap it and give it like a letter grade of how we did with our transfers, I would give it a B, solid B, B or B plus. But there has to be some harsh reality behind this, so I will give it a B. I will give it a B.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agree with your ratings. Um.
Even the Freddie Woodman one.
Hooray! Yeah. I like what else? What has he done to deserve anything else? I guess. No.
I know.
Oh, okay. Chesley. Not as many signings as you'd think. Still quite a few. Um, Dario Isugo. I mean, it's hard to judge because he's been injured all season. I believe he's made one appearance. Um, three appearances, all at the Club World Cup. So he hasn't made any appearances since then because he's been injured. Apparently, he's supposed to be this great deputy to Moises Caicedo. When he was in La Liga at Las Palmas, I think he was just a lot of energy, made a lot of tackles. So a good backup six to have. I still think that a backup six. I think the work rate is important, but I would really love to have it a more physically dominant backup six in the future, potentially, because all of our sixes are relatively small. So it'd be nice to have somebody a little bigger, but I'm going to give us Hugo a 4 out of 10 because he just hasn't played. And maybe that's unfair. But I don't see him playing because you could make an argument that when at full fitness and when the team is playing at their best, and especially, I mean, I was going to say Chelsea could have the best midfield in the Premier League, but based off of the Club World Cup final, you could almost argue the world. Um, because PSG are pro. Anyways, I don't want to get too carried away. Liam Delap, that's another hard one because he spent so much of the season injured, but he still has played 30 games this season. And I know a lot of it has been fitness, he hasn't been full fitness. He's only started 9 matches and he's only played 700 minutes in the Premier League this season. So he's had some pretty intense injury struggles, but still, when he has been more fit, he's been disappointing. But because it's not a huge transfer fee, and because I'm still holding on for hope for what he could potentially be in the future, especially just because I like his physical profile, I am going to give him a 5 because he's 30 million. I think if we sold him today, we make a profit on him. And I think that there's a player in there that could be really good. Mamadou Sarr. Obviously, we just recalled him from loan. It was only £12 million that we signed him for, which is an absolute steal. That's kind of the advantage of having a sister club. But he came through their ranks, actually, that's not true. He came from Lyon's academy. But he's a young player from there that I believe they signed before even our mug took over. I am going to give him an 8 out of 10 because he's a very talented young player. I think he could have a very bright Chelsea future, but I'm going to give it an 8 because I feel bad for Strasbourg and that we are robbing them essentially. But yeah, I'm really excited now that he's been recalled. He played really well at Strasbourg first half of the season and last season. Russ and your speech super highly of him, and so I'm excited to see what he can do for Chelsea. He feels Chelsea as well. Mamadou Sarr. Joao Pedro. You gave Ekitike an 8.5. I'm going to give Pedro a 9 because he has more goals.
Fair.
But his impact this season is just incredible. To think about even Nico Jackson. Nico Jackson, a good season for him was 11 goals at Chelsea, over a full body of work. And Joao Pedro could easily have 15 plus this season, hopefully more, in the Prem alone. And just his style of play, the way that he plays, he's so good. And he's obviously, I hope he's 24, he turns 25 this year, so he's not super young. But I just hope he continues to develop and we get more and more out of him. But he's Brazil's starting number 9, and he will be at the World Cup. And feels good that when talking about Chelsea to say that we have a starting striker that confident in and is a good player. He's not frustrating. That's the thing about Jackson. Jackson would have good performances, but there still would be 1 or 2 things in that game. It's just what are you doing? Why have you done that? But with Pedro, it's not like that. With Pedro, it's more maybe you could have done more there, but it's not what are you doing? Why did you do that? So I really like Joao Pedro, and 9 out of 10 feels fair. He has 16 goals and 5 assists in all competitions. So 21 goal contributions in all competitions, and just a little over halfway into the season. I guess a little over that, but Jamie Gittins. I don't want to be super unfair because I could genuinely rank so many of these signings super low. But I'm not going to be too unfair because Jamie Gittins, I see the potential. He has had fitness issues this season as well. In 27 competitions, he has 1 goal and 5 assists. He only has started 5 matches. He's only played 490 minutes in the Prem. So there's no body of work in the Prem to speak of. And so I'm going to give him, I see the potential. I think it's similar to Delap. If Delap got a 6, I think Gittins kind of deserves it as well. But I think Delap, you can make a case where, if he doesn't pick it up this summer, he gets sold. I don't think there's really any world that Jamie Gittins leaves Chelsea this summer. He's still, he's young. Actually turns 22 this year, which isn't super young. But he has, good experience, top level experience with Dortmund. He's started there for 2 years, basically, before coming to Chelsea. So I have faith that he could be really good. Jarell Hato, he's a confusing one. He's starting to play a little bit more. Maresca clearly didn't trust him. He's only played 377 minutes in the Prem this season with 3 starts, 12 appearances. He's had some howlers this season, but he is also 19 years old. And so it's really hard to make a judgment on him, but I like what I've seen from him. And it's hard to give him above what I've given Gittins into that because he kind of is a similar case, although it hasn't really been fitness with him. It's just been a case of developing in the league. But because he's younger, I'm going to give him a 7 because I think he could become a really great backup for Cucurella. He's really young, and he's had some good moments recently under Rossignol. He clearly trusts him a little bit more, and he's versatile. Rossignol's already played him as a left back, as a center back, as a defensive midfielder. He's played him as a 10 in like the left half space, inverting into the left half space, and so he's Dutch. He gets it. He's good at football, and so I hope he comes good at Chelsea. Alejandro Garnacho. This is a tough one because he does have 6 goals and 3 assists in all competitions. So he has been somewhat productive comparatively to other signings that we've made. But, oh my goodness, recently he has been bad. He has 12 starts in the league this season. So more than the other guys, he has more of a body of work to study. When he is playing confident, he's very good. I will say that. But he needs to be confident, or else he is the most useless footballer. He doesn't press. He doesn't try to win the ball back if he loses it. He does nothing when he has the ball. He just turns it over. There's literally a clip of him against West Ham. I believe he won the ball. He passed it. It got stolen. He won the ball back. Or we won the ball back immediately. He got it. He turned it over again. We got the ball back. He got it. And he turned it over again. Like 3 times in a row in a span of like 30 seconds. He turned the ball over. And so he's so frustrating. I understand. Like, he was 40 million. Also not like the most, like, we could sell him and probably make that back in the summer. Like, I think the teams still rate him highly enough. He's been productive enough and had good enough moments that you could probably sell him to like an Atletico Madrid and they'll give you 40, 50 million for him, honestly. And so, if he goes in the summer, I wouldn't be surprised. But I want to give him a 4, but I'll give him a 5 out of 10 because he has had moments. Facundo Buonanotte, 0 out of 10. Why did we do that? Why did we loan him? He played, let's see how much he played for Chelsea. He made 8 appearances for Chelsea. He had a goal and 2 assists. But the most pointless signing ever. Like, it's not a 0 out of 10 for his sake. It's just like, why did we do that? Why did we straight loan a player from Brighton? What are we? Like, why are we getting loan players from Brighton? Why are we looking to Brighton to loan players to strengthen our team? If Brighton is like, we clearly don't need this guy, you can have him, like, on loan. Not even trying to be convinced to get him on a permanent deal.
Yeah.
So, what?
Yeah, so to like buy him like permanently, it was just like straight loan.
Yeah.
Like, it's been a while since I've seen something that's just like a straight loan.
So it's bizarre. So 0 out of 10. He had good moments when he played for us, but like, why did we do that? What are we doing? And then I guess that was our last signing, aside from Samuel Smith. But if you know the story on that, it's bizarre. He was in our academy, and then we sold him to Strasbourg, and then he was homesick, and then we bought him back. So, really weird. And then he went on loan. But I feel like Omega, you talked about Jacquet, so Omega and Giovanni Quinda deserve some credit. A cat is about to appear on the screen, probably. They deserve a shout-out and a rating, even though we haven't seen them suit up, obviously. But Omega is Strasbourg's captain. He had a brilliant season last year, helping them get European football. Let's see. This season, he's only played 11 matches, but he has scored 7 goals and 2 assists. So the goal record is great for when he actually plays. In 3 seasons with Strasbourg, he has scored 25 goals, and not completely. Yeah, obviously, like He didn't play a ton his first season. Well, he played 28 matches, and he's only played 7 matches this season. So, and that's not even including other competitions. That's just in the league. So there's clearly a good player there, and he's a captain. He's their captain, so clearly he's a good leader. He's 6'5", so he'd give us something different, a striker, a little different profile. But I like him. He's good finishing both feet. He has a unique kind of finishing style, I would say. But generally the Liga to Premier League pipeline is pretty good, and so I kind of have confidence that he could be a really good option for us. And so I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10 because both for leadership and just for I believe we signed him for like 25, 30 million, which is just an absolute steal for a player like him. So I'm going to give him an 8, and I hope he becomes a really good player for Chelsea. Giovanni Quenda, I'm going to give. Ooh, it's tough because we signed him early enough. It wasn't super expensive, and now I think if a team were to sign him today, probably be like 60, 70 million. I think you could say that, but I'm also it'd be unfair to give him anything more than an 8 out of 10. I think he's injured. I think he's out. Yeah, he's out. He's been out since December, early December. But when he's played, he has 5 goals and 6 assists in all competitions this season, and so he's only 18 years old. He's such a bright young player. He can play on the right, he can play on the left, he can play attacking midfielder, he can play right back, right wing back. Not that we would, but it's an option. And he's just a really interesting young player that I think could be very good. I would love to see him. I mean, thinking about just the future of him and Esteban on the wings is pretty exciting. So I hope he comes good for us as well. He has the look of being kind of the next really exciting young player that we've signed kind of along the Esteban kind of pipeline. But he's a really good player. I'm really excited to see him. He's been really good in the Champions League this year. Sporting were really good in the Champions League this year. But yeah, that is my ratings. That is what I think of our summer business. I was much less willing to give out good ratings as you were, but I understand why you were, and I'm sure you understand why I don't give as good ratings. Yeah. Anyways, is that it?
That may be all the topics we have.
We certainly have not talked for a short amount of time.
It's nice that Zoom doesn't boot it though.
Sure. There's no halftime.
Yeah.
Or extra time with this. So, all right, guys. Unless you have something else you want to talk about.
Please beat Nottingham tomorrow. Please, Liverpool beat Nottingham tomorrow. Please.
Please, Chelsea beat teams that are in relegation. Yeah. Please. I would love that. Okay. Well, thank you, guys. If you made it this far, we really appreciate you. You are an absolute trooper. Please subscribe. Please like the video. Please share. We make these videos annually, it seems like. But if you would like to see that, please comment. And I think we would like to do these more often because we just love talking footy. We love our clubs as much agony and pain as they put us through. It helps to be able to talk about it. So thank you for watching. This has been Blue and Red Football back in 2027. In a new scene once again. We look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, share with the homies. New content might be coming. I might be uploading some tactical breakdowns of your favorite head coaches, your favorite clubs, all of that as I take my adventure into my new career. But we appreciate the support as always. Like, subscribe. Peace.